Nation. Damn! It's time to be annoying. It's time to be annoying. Guys, put on those hats, hands on the wheel, veer very hard into the left lane, okay? Brick on the gas pedal. We are so back. I've been gone, okay? I always say this. I take a break, I have a freak out, I come back. I take a break, I have a freak out, I come back, okay? This last time, hey, nothing really happened. I lacked time management skills. And hold on, I want to give you guys a warning up front here, okay? Got back late last night from Eddyville. Like, it might still be, I don't know, remnants. There might be remnants in this sort of flesh cavern that I've got going on. This flesh cavern that I'm housing, that I'm nurturing and healing. You know what I mean? So they have these ones. Like, I'm gonna be out of it today. I just want you to know. They have these ones that are like watermelon flavors. Oh my god. Oh my lord. Are you serious? Did y'all's grandparents ever used to tell you that if you ate watermelon seeds, one would grow in your stomach? What a cruel, unfunny joke. Up until the ages of probably, to be completely transparent, 15, 16, I was like, I can't have the watermelon seeds, but I'm not going to look pregnant. And then I'm going to look pregnant. Okay, guys, what's been going on? Man, it feels like forever since we've kind of spoken, you know, in this strange, dystopian, parasocial way. Let me just get comfortable here. What's new in my life? Here's something that I need to speak about because I need to bitch and complain, okay? So we're gonna, look, let me get this rant out of the way. Let me talk about this, and then I'll move on to some funny stuff, okay? Here's the deal. Actually, before we do that, let me just get this in really quick because this will be coming out on election day. Holy fuck, please don't vote. Hello, are you 18 and up in the continental United States? Not even continental, are you in the whole United States? And have you registered to vote? You know, in some states, if you're not registered to vote, I'm literally like pleading with you on my knees. If you have put it off until literally election day, some states, you can go in, when you vote, you can register to vote the same day. You can register, and then you can vote the same day. If you waited, y'all, seriously, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Go fucking do it, okay? Truly, the fate of the country is in our hands. And that's kind of all I want to say on that, is that there is a reality that we might face that scares the living shit out of me. Okay? So, please vote. Please vote. Okay, moving on, I want to talk about Pilates. Because what the fuck are you bitches smoking? Okay, Pilates is just playtime. Pilates is an adult playground. Like, truly, okay, here's the thing. Let me give some background. I have PCOS, as we all know. Woo! We're my big forehead, balding, fupa having PCOS sister. Guys, throw a fist up in the chat for the PCOS women, okay? And people, you don't have to necessarily identify as a woman to have PCOS. Okay, here we go. PCOS has a whole just amalgamation of different symptoms that for the longest time were attributed by most doctors to just being overweight, right? It took this one doctor who Remy Ashton recommended to me, God bless her, that really tackled what the syndrome is. You know, and not a lot of doctors know a lot about it, because it's one of those things where it's like, well, if you have all these things, it's probably PCOS. Luckily for me, the diagnosis was correct. I mean, I can only assume. All of my symptoms, irregular periods, thinning hair, strange body hair, like all the, like something was wrong with my hormones and with my ovaries. So, that being said, I have always been, as we know, a little tubby, okay? And I say tubby with a capital T. I say tubby written in bubble letters. Okay? Did y'all ever use bubble letters? I used to do that, okay? Where it looks like they're all squeezed together, and you like play with dimension, you have little like bubble signs. Y'all remember? Okay, anyway. I was chubby, written in bubble letters. And it was always this sort of thing of like, I'm the fat friend, right? I'm the plus size friend. I was the duff. If you want to be, you know, if you want to be primitive about it. If you want to be primitive about it, I was the duff, okay? Do I think that about myself now? No. And did I think that about myself at the time? No. But looking back, I can sort of describe what that feeling is. For all my fat bitches, you know what I'm talking about, okay? To be the biggest person in the room, to be the person that visibly you know, I struggle with probably food, my relationship with food, my relationship with my body, and come to find out, my diet was contributing to my PCOS. It was exacerbating my symptoms, right? All that to say, I recently went to see my doctor, and she looked at me and she was like, "You're not working out." And I said, "Well," she said, "Not a question. That was not a question. Okay, that was a statement with a period at the end." And I said, "You're not working out." And I said, "Oh?" She said, "You need to work out." And I literally rolled my eyes, and she said, "No, no." And I was like, here's the thing, right? I've tried workout classes, like, I'll try, this is a lie, what I'm about to say, just know that I'm lying when I say this. I'll try anything once, right? That was a lie. But in theory, I'd like to believe that about myself, but I know it to be not true. So, moving on. After this doctor's appointment, she was like, you know, the diet is only part of it. You know, I can't have gluten, I can't have dairy. I can't have avocado, I can't have banana, I can't have coconut, because all these things are, they have things that will inflame my body and make me swell up like a balloon, and also carry extra weight. And so she was like, "You need to start working out." And I was like, "I don't want to." She's like, "Just get walking." "I don't want to, but I will." Okay? And so she was like, "You need to start working out." I said, "Okay, well, I don't have the discipline nor time in my schedule to prioritize that." And she said, "Have you ever done a workout class?" And I said, like, "No. I think I did Zumba with my mom in 2011. She was like, "Try a workout class." And luckily enough, the same day, my friend Meg had texted me and she was like, "Do you want to come to CorePower with me?" Now, what the fuck is CorePower? Oh, I was soon to find out. Okay? I was soon to figure it all out. CorePower is actually going to be a HIIT workout class, and whatever the fuck you CorePower bitches are smoking, it's cheap. Okay? It is a form. I think it's masochistic. What you bitches do at CorePower, I think it's sick in the head. Here's my experience, okay? And this is no hate to CorePower. It just was not for me. I go in thinking it's going to be a yoga class. I go in thinking it's going to be that good gratitude to your body, okay? First of all, I walk in. He says, "Get a yoga mat and get weights." Weight? Okay. And so she did get light and heavy weights. I said, "Heavy?" And so I got 2 pounds of 5 pounds. But 5 pounds is heavy. When you're doing, that's heavy. So I walk in, I say, "Okay." I'm there with my friend Meg. We get the mat, we get the weight. Mind you, it is 95 degrees in this room. Immediately I'm mad. It's 95 degrees. It is hot CorePower sculpt. This is a HIIT workout class for like a professional dancer is damn near what it felt like. I walked in there and I said, "I did not realize I was going to be Adam." I did not realize I was Matt Stefania. Unity in diversity, okay? Jade, what was her name? Chenoweth? Oh, I loved her. Oh my God, Wildebeest Adam! Or was it that? They had this video of, Justin Patty favorite yeah. Who is that? Ciara or Tinashe? That song, Jade Kinowitz did a choreographed dance to that song. Did I try to learn it in my room? Yeah, I did. Me, like, in knee pads and a sports bra in my room, just giving everything I have. Just trying my hardest. I used to memorize, which this is not shocking if you have seen one episode of my podcast. I used to memorize Beyonce tour choreography. And one thing you start to notice about Beyonce's tour choreography is that she'll repurpose old moves, obviously, but she will incorporate new songs to do the dances too. For example, the famous from Beachella when she did Everybody Mad, the I've been getting to the money, where she did the I've been getting to the, that one, okay? Everybody mad, I've been getting to the money. Everybody mad, that one, that choreography, she's used a bunch of different, for a bunch of different songs. And I think it's so iconic, and she knows that people will do it along with her. The same with Diva, obviously the same with Single Ladies, whenever she performs Single Ladies. Those are like the beginner level, okay? I'm talking about if you know I'm awesome, which she kind of did something similar to choreography. Panda by Designer. Okay, all of these, what I'm trying to say is, that choreography was fun to learn because you would already know some of the base moves. Why am I acting like I'm a dancer? I can't fucking take credit. I'm like, the thing about having a dancer's body, and thank you for asking, is, like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. I just had a visual flashback to, like, doing the dance challenges on the Wii and having it pop up and say, on the Wii fitness, you are obese. You are obese. Hey, I'm 9. Oh, okay, I'm actually 9 and we're bowling. But thank you for telling me that I'm a big fat hog. This shit starts so young. This episode is going to be called Big Baddies. This one's from a Big Baddies, okay? Anyway, we were in this CorePower class. And I've done a workout class maybe once or twice in my life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing that. Like, that is just so not the fiber of my being. Okay, I was meant to sit down. I was meant to live a very sedentary lifestyle. Oh. I'm not drunk. I just had a protein shake and then a Red Bull. We're in this CorePower workout. She says, get weight. It's 110 fucking degrees Celsius in the room. I lay out on my mat. I look around, everybody's stretching. I'm going to start doing. So I start stretching. I'm kind of nervously looking around. Talking to my friend Meg. Okay, the instructor comes in. Immediately, she has way too much energy. Okay, immediately, I'm kind of. Have you ever seen a squirrel like when it hears something, or like a raccoon when you first open the dumpster and you see the little family, the little colony of raccoons in there, and they do. That's how I felt. She walked into the room. Immediately, she's hello, welcome to CorePower. My name is and you know. Exhale, beautiful. 2, 3, 4, and red. Okay, do we do pump, pump, pump? What the fuck is going on? What's going on? And I said, okay. I look around and I said, what's happening? And so I started trying to copy everyone, okay, because these are basic yoga poses. I don't know what the fuck that is. 3-legged downward dog. Is that where we used to do those? What is that? It's all like, oh, okay, she's got her knee up in between her breasts. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm copying everyone. She's moving so fucking fast. And let me bitch for a second. When you move that fast, there is no way you're actually getting a good stretch in. There's no way you're actually getting a good rep in. When you are going 1, 2 down, 1, 2 down, 1, 2 down. What the fuck? I can't even, I'm so focused on trying to keep up with you that I'm not even doing the exercise. You know what I mean? I'm kind of doing like baby movements and I'm looking at my head's on a swivel because I'm like scared. I'm like a chihuahua during a thunderstorm. I'm shaking. I need to work out in my thunder jacket. I started to get really frustrated, okay? So this is probably like 15 minutes into it. Then she makes us start doing burpees. Am I a middle school boy? I don't want to. Like, am I training for a fucking marathon? herpes just feels so, like, high school crap to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I immediately was like, oh my fucking god, I hate herpes. I get dizzy. My ass gets dizzy. And then I feel like the fat girl, you know what I mean? So, we're in this, we start to do burpees. Okay, I'm pissed off. Then she goes, jumping jacks. I'm like, oh, I can do jumping jacks. Did I wear a supportive sports bra? No, I did not. So I was in pain. I'm hot, I'm in pain, and I don't get, okay, so, I do the jumping jacks. And I did like this part, okay? We'll say about this, about the class. There's music playing the whole time. Was half of it Ed Sheeran? Yeah. Do I want to work out to Ed Sheeran? No. Okay? We're doing jumping jacks. And she starts doing up, down, up, and you slap your thighs. And I was like, that's fun. Because we all got into a rhythm. We were all on tempo. Okay? No one was dragging. No one was, it was very nice. I looked around and I said, damn, okay, I can do this. But here's the thing about jumping jacks. Why are they hard? When you do 40 jumping jacks, they're hard. Anyway, we do jumping jacks, whatever, then we're on the floor. Then she says, get on the fucking floor. We incorporate weight. I can't. Okay? And I say that very literally. Couldn't do it. I started to see spots in my vision. I genuinely, it was so hot in this room. The weights were too much because at this point, you've been going for 40 minutes, like trying to do 5-pound weights and my glutes, and then you put your bicep into your, I could not do it. Then that makes me feel weak. Then it makes me want to give up. And then I do give up. Okay? I gave up, but part of it was, hey, I'm about to pass out. I went to go sit against the wall. Then that made me feel worse because I was like, I'm looking around and everyone else can, so here comes the rant. Okay, here's the rant. I'm looking around and everyone else is doing it, can do it, will finish, like in their little aloe yoga, Lululemon bullshit, like matching set. And I started to feel so out of place. And so I left the room and I went to go stand out in the air-conditioned hallway because why the fuck? I understand hot yoga. Make it 80, okay? Make it 80 degrees in there. 95? That's like doing a full workout in the Texas sun. There's no fucking way. Like, I will die. I will die. So I went to go stand out in the hallway and drink my water, and I just, like, it washed over me, this wave of that shame of being in middle school or elementary school or high school, being the fat girl in PE. Okay? And if you've never been overweight, you don't really know that feeling. But if you have been overweight, hey! It was not something I expected to happen, was to return to that mental state of being the biggest person in the room, the last person to finish the exercise, if you even finish. Fitness gram, pace the chest, run the mile, do the crunches. I couldn't. It was so hard and embarrassing. There's nothing more humiliating than being in middle school, period. That's the end of that sentence. And then the next thing is, you know, being the big one. And that was a product of my family, the way that I was raised, you know, that if you would just raise a bit of white boys would watch you more. I'm at a point now, let me clarify, that doesn't fucking matter to me. And, like, my body is not a piece of ice sculpt for men to enjoy looking at. Like, my body is a living, working machine. I have a much different relationship with my body now than I did as a 12-year-old. However, being in this CorePower class, feeling like a fat girl again, having to walk myself out of the room over the cattle grate into the hallway like a heifer, I was not having a great time, to be euphemistic about it. And so I went back in, and so I was like, I'm not going to quit. I just needed to, like, truly I needed to get out of the room because I was going to pass out. I go back in the room. I finished the last, like, 10 minutes of the workout, and I did it on my own time, and I only did what I knew. Okay, so they're like, do the fucking triple downward dog, and picture, like, your left bicep, forearm, gradient. Oh, good, 2, 3, 4, good. Now the 5 pound. I just did what I knew, and I did not stress myself up. And I know that a lot of you workout class girls in the comments are going to be like, that instructor said have helped you be good, you can always do them in your own time. No. Because if I don't know the moves, I can't do it, right? Okay, anyway. My experience with CorePower was less than ideal. It did not make me feel strong. I think it was jumping into the deep end with this idea of a workout regimen. I don't work out. Like, I'm going from genuinely zero. I do not move my body. The most exercise I get is walking around airports. Truly. Like, those are the only days that I meet my fitness goal, quote unquote. And my doctor literally telling me, like, you have to move your body. You're losing all this weight. You're just going to be skinned. And I was like, oh, I have osteoarthritis. And she looked at me and she said, no, you need to go to the gym. And I said, so, CorePower, after that, I went home, and I was sore the next day, but it was that good sort of sore where I was like, this feeling does make me want to keep going, because I got through that shit. I didn't fully give up. I wasn't like, well, I'm fat, so fuck all you guys. We go sit out in the hallway for the whole time. No. I finished the class, and I went home, and I was like, am I going to let this fully deter me from finding something that is doable for me? Because I have to get above zero. You know what I mean? I went 0 to like 95. I want to rest around 25 somewhere. So I was like, you know what? I'll keep trying. I posted on my Instagram story. A bunch of us fucked up. Tried Pilates. I thought, okay, I can get trained in Pilates. That shit looks hard as fuck. The way he shakes, my God. Hi, Jake. I was like, is that Pilates, like Glenn Powell Pilates? But I tried it. Okay. So I went with my friend Lawrence. We did it, and we did a private class. Okay, so I learned my lesson. I said, I'm not doing this group class bullshit with the, because Pilates is, like I said, it's a playground. It's just like sliding, you got a ball, you got a box, and you got some armbands, you got toys, and you're jumping on shit, and you're like, it's a game. And I was like, I am going to kill myself by accident on this thing. So I said, I need an instructor that is only paying attention to me, because I need attention and I need help, if you can't tell. So we go to Pilates, and Lawrence does Pilates every fucking morning, so he's great. This instructor was so nice, and it was a much more pleasant experience for me, because first of all, the room was set at 68. Thank you, Jesus. The room was set 68 degrees. Thank you, Lord. I have a video to show y'all. Actually, really quick. What the fuck have I been talking about, dude? What am I talking about? The edible's like swirling around in my brain still. I took it like 12 hours ago.
Watch this. For I have seen all that Laban, I've seen what Laban's done unto you. And my word will not return void. It will go to that which it was sent. And it will prosper.
Okay. What I just Okay, what was I talking about where I even had to bring this up? Oh, this is one of those viral clips that from the early 2010s, late 2000s, that my family fucking loves. Everyone in my family has seen this video. It is a cult classic in my family. This is a televangelist, okay? I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he's a very famous Southern televangelist. He would go on these, what are these called? Fundraising, you know what I'm trying to say. Where he's trying to get you to tithe to the church and call in and do this. He would get these attacks during these commercials or these shows. He'd get these attacks of just gratitude and overcome with the Holy Spirit, okay? When he'd do that, it would literally derail his sentence, and he'd go, all you gotta do is call me, thank you, Lord. Amen. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. He'd pat his stomach, he'd pat his chest like this. And so after a while, the people were like, he does that so much. They started making these joke videos on YouTube where they'll take footage from his show of him doing that, and they'll add parts to it. To make it look like he's passing the fucking kidney stone, or he's finally like, this gas has been tormenting him, and Jesus took it away. He took the pain away. And so that's what these videos are. I've seen these so many times. Let's keep watching.
life and joy and the nature of God. Oh, hallelujah. But Eve will also provide and multiply. Oh, that's the opening of the window of earth. This is the cream phase. The cream a thing. The fourth of spiritual power. He is preparing for you as you even see. I smell heaven's face is cooking up.
Stop! That will always be funny. There is no way that y'all are giggling at that. Are you serious? Anyway, that's how I feel. I don't remember what I was talking about. Pilates. No, I'm the farting preacher. The original farting preacher 5, the title of this video. Don't know how that correlated with Pilates. Anyway, Pilates is playing. And she had me doing all this shit with my knees and my legs, and I was tucking it in and doing all this, and you know, you get gassy. And you know how they'll fart babies? They'll burp babies with their legs, and they'll push them into their chest, and they'll push the fart out. That's what Pilates is. Pilates is the excuse to act like a grown-up baby. I'm surprised they don't give you pacifiers and fucking bibs when you walk in the thing. They're like, you need your grippy socks. You need your light up shoes. I go twice. I go get your put your stuff over there. Put your grippy socks on. Alright, y'all be safe. Y'all be in. Have fun. I'll be back in an hour. That's how it felt, me dropping myself off at Pilates. I was like, bye, Mom. And I was like, you remembered your socks, right? Didn't have them, had to buy them. Guess how much they were? $40. $40. Anyway, we walk in there, and I see this shit where it's the spring, right? And she's got you up on a box with your knee at a 90-degree angle, and you're pushing back, and it's about the resistance that you have to control it. It's about controlling it. Yeah, I get that. I'm shaking, and I'm going to hurt myself by accident. And then she's like, you're going to squeeze this ball with your glute muscles. It was a lot. But I give it a 5 out of 10. Because I think the experience of having it be just me was nice. Just me and my friends. Where I didn't feel left behind. If I would have done a Pilates class without being taught what the shit is, the reformer, because you have to have a device to do it. You have to buy the jungle gym to be able to, do Pilates. I think I would have been even more discouraged. So it was nice doing a private class. Next, I tried Bar Method, okay? Now, Bar Method, I went by myself. Because both of those times I went with a friend. This I went by myself. I'm working up the confidence, right? And so I booked Bar Method, and I go, and it's all women. First of all, can I just say that? Okay, actually, my whole demeanor is about to change when I talk about this, because it was a very positive experience for me. Okay, that's good. That's crazy. Coming out of my mouth, I booked another one to go tomorrow. We'll get to somewhere, okay? I think starting with the extreme, I cried in my car afterwards, moving on to, less intensity. Bar Method was fucking intense, but in a different way. It's good for me, okay? I am seeing videos on TikTok of, if you have tried Pilates, have you ever tried Bar Method? And it's like, free. It's like edits of women in Bar Method. And I'm like, what is this? And so I go and look it up. Both Pilates and Bar Method were created by, scientists, by physical therapists from, one of them from the Second World War, as a form of, there's a term for it, but it was to rehabilitate. It was to rehabilitate people with back injuries, leg injuries, injuries from the war. It was a form of physical rehabilitation. And keeping that in mind, I was like, this could be good for me. Because, as I've talked about, I have sciatica, which is a searing pain that stems from your sciatic nerve, which is kind of the base of your spine, and it shoots down the back of both of your legs. For the longest time, I was just told, well, it's because you're fat. Well, maybe if you could lose some weight. Here's the thing, it's a cycle, right? I can't lose weight because my body hurts. And my body hurts because I'm fat. And I'm fat because I can't lose weight. And it's just this cycle of, and also knowing now with the PCOS, I retain fat in certain areas that is so much harder for women with PCOS to lose than, you know, a man that's a little overweight. Because it's hormonal and it's like a reproductive issue thing. Anyway, the bar method incorporates a ballet bar. And I was intrigued by this because I was seeing TikToks and I was like, it's just kind of like a Zumba class without serious choreography. I could try that out. Then I start seeing videos and it's like, the only reason you use the bar is because you're up on the balls of your feet like a ballerina for half of the class. And it's like working out your hamstrings, your thighs. It is so much core strength to be able to do that and to bend down and push your body weight back up. You use this little ball for resistance. It's a lot about stretching. I loved this. The last 10 minutes of the class was yoga. It was cooling down, it was stretching your back, it was stretching, but it was also getting like a good, you know, you can stretch and incorporate weights. She turns the music volume down and the lights down, and it's about being grateful for what your body can do and honoring your body by feeding it well and using it and moving it in a way that builds muscle, because I don't have any muscle. And part of the reason I have sciatica, I'm just bitching at this point. Part of the reason I have sciatica is because I have a weak core. A lot of that pressure and stress goes onto my spine and on my butt because I sit all day. Anyway, bar method. You use the grippy socks. It's a carpeted floor. And you use the bar, which is really fun. Because you get to like put your leg up on the bar and like you get to do the ballet moves. I was kind of living a fantasy. Like I felt a little bit like a dancer. And this is part of the, okay, now the story gets beautiful. I've been bitching for what? 35 minutes often. This is where it took a turn to get better. Recently in my life, there's been a combination of things and choices that I've been making for myself that it's so cornball. And this is not a self-help episode, okay? But these are little things I've been doing that I've been putting off in my life. You know what I mean? I've been putting off working on this thing about myself or prioritizing XYZ thing or making time for something else. And I'm at a point where I'm tired of living like that. It makes me feel bad about myself. And so I've cut off people that are not good for me. I have healed or am healing my relationship with food. Shout out to Alyssa's Magic on TikTok. And I am finding a balance of moving my body that I like. And I think a lot of it is the energy and the attitude towards it. CorePower and Pilates is very intense, like working out is my thing. I do Pilates, I do this. I want to do something that's like, yeah, this is just how I move my body. It's not this intense workout culture around this specific activity. It's something that, above all else, I can walk out feeling like I did a good job, I'm proud of myself, and it wasn't too much of a time. I book a class with Bar Method. There's a bunch of different types of Bar Method, Pure Bar, Bar Express, Bar Foot, but I booked the classic signature Bar Method class. I go in, I know my workout stuff, and I go up to the counter. First of all, the energy in there was so, like, I don't know how else to say it other than, like, pink. It was just so positive and encouraging and sweet. Like, immediately I walk in, a bunch of girls are coming out of a class, and they have their towels, and they're talking, and they have, you know, their water bottles, everyone's smiling. And this girl comes out of it in this cute set, workout set, and she comes up to the front, and she goes, "Hi, how are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm good, how are you?" She said, "Are you Brittany?" And I said, "No, yes," like a kindergarten class. "Are you, what's your name?" I was like, "I'm just Minnie. I'm just Minnie." I'm just Minnie. And so she was like, "You can me?" And I said, yes. And she said, it was so nice to have you. Come on in, like, have you ever done this before? And I was like, no, I haven't. And I told her my history with, I've tried Pilates, I tried CorePower, it was just way too much, and I'm just trying to find a way to move my body, because I don't work out, like, at all. I'm going from 0 to whatever this is. She was like, well, I'm glad that you have, chosen to join us today. Let me give you a little rundown. And so she led me to the studio, and she shows me, here's the locker room, here's the whatever, here's the room. It's going to be, get yourself 2-pound weights and 3-pound weights. I'll take care of everything else. Just keep your socks on and meet me in the middle of the room. And I said, okay. As we're walking towards the room, all these women coming out, she's greeting each of them by name. She's pointing out things they did well during the class and things that, she's encouraging them, asking them about their jobs. Everyone's smiling. Like, it was so, I don't know how to describe it without it sounding so cornball fucking Barbie movie. Like, it was just such a positive, feminine energy in there. And Bar Method isn't just for women, but it was all women in this class. And they're all smiling. They're like, thank you so much. It was a great class. I'll see you next week. It doesn't say, everyone's like, good luck on your test or whatever it is. Oh my god. It was immediately a different vibe. There were plants everywhere in the lobby, whatever. And so we start the class, and she was so, first of all, let me say cognizant of, this was my first time, it was another girl's first time, and everyone who has been doing Bar Method for a long time in there, you couldn't tell, other than the fact that they were able to do more reps than everyone else. Like, you could still see they were, it makes me feel good when a seasoned veteran of some of this shit is still sweating and huffing and puffing. Because I know it's supposed to get easier the more you do it, but the fact that it's still, like, the level of endurance that they're doing is not that different from what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like it was a more level playing field. There were women of all shapes and sizes in there, all ages as well. And from the very beginning of the class to the very end, it was exactly how I would want an arc of a workout class to go. You start with stretching, you start with minor weights when you have, like, the bulk of your strength. It worked out every single part of my body. And then towards the end, you start to do the bar, which was so hard but so fun. And it was so cool because we're all doing, like, dancing moves. But it was hard as fuck because it's working out, your glutes or your hamstrings or whatever. And it made me feel strong without feeling pushed to the brink of what my body can do. You know what I mean? And then we end the class, she dims the lights, and it's with slower music, and she ended it with, and if I'm about to cry, just ignore it. She ended it with this sort of yoga thing of asking us to inhale positive thoughts about ourselves and exhale negative thoughts about ourselves, which I damn near started to cry. Also, I've read all these things about exercise is such an emotional thing because it's releasing hormones, it's releasing endorphins and things like that, and it's not that abnormal if you cry towards the end of a workout or whatever, because you're releasing things from your muscles, and it's just a lot of energy. And towards the end of it, when she was saying all that shit, and I looked around the room, and it's all women with their eyes closed, like, thanking their bodies for carrying them through a workout like that, and how grateful I am to have a body that serves me and that keeps me alive and healthy. And I think it was like guilt rushed over me. I haven't treated it well in the past, and I'm so proud of me now for taking care of it. And I hear all these women who have, for 1 hour, decided to come together and share this space and do this together and just be here for a moment in time, just like taking a moment of appreciation for what our bodies can do. I don't know, it's such a fucking polar opposite relationship to, like, even my relationship with my body 4 years ago, 2 years ago. Like, we are so cruel to ourselves. And this is the level for me that I think I've been looking at It was hard. That shit was hard. Okay, because it's pulsing and it's N1, N2, but it's in a way that's a lot more doable for me than a CorePower thing. It was hard, but even leaving the class, I went and tried in my car again. But I was like, you know what? I would do this again. And so I'm doing it again. And we'll see. I could be really over it, and I could be like, no, fuck, do that shit again after 4 classes. But the experience is very positive for me, which has never happened in the history of ever for me when it comes to exercise. And I just have such a negative attitude towards it. I didn't grow up in a family that did that. I didn't grow up in a family that cared about health at all until it was too late. You know, when it's like getting a kidney transplant or getting a liver transplant or having emphysema because you smoked for 40 years or you got diabetes and so you need to do this. It's about managing the health issues when they come up. It's not about preventing them. It's not about making choices, you know, that will keep you alive longer for your kids and your grandkids and your family. Those choices, it feels like, I don't know, my family's very weird about that sort of stuff. There's not a good diet. We don't move. We don't hike. We're not one of those outdoor families. We're very AC-centric family. And for the longest time, I was like, you know, that's just how it is. You're raised in the South. You know, I've got lard and gravy in my blood through my veins. Just to sort of, if you were to cut me in half and look at my arteries, there'd be some sausage in there. There'd be little bits of sausage, I think. Sausage and like a roux. You could make a roux. Okay. So, no, like having that as my foundation, anything is an improvement, right? That's how I'm trying to look at it, because if I push myself too hard and too quick, I'm going to give up completely, and I know I will. So I'm trying not to do that. But Bar Method, Bar Method is like a 6.8 out of 10 for me. And it's exciting. There's a lot of things that I am using this period of like Q4 of 2024 as a catalyst for what I want my 2025 to look like. And there are things, you ever go through a breakup so bad, it's like, I have to start playing piano. Oh my God, I have to take up a creative writing class. Like, it truly woke me up out of my eternal slumber to be like, oh my God, there has to be something else I can do with my time than sit here and look at his profile. Are you fucking stupid? So, I signed up for piano lessons. I still do my Spanish lessons. I am now, I guess, doing Bar Method. And, I'm gonna keep crafting. I've taken a break from crafting because I'm kind of over the air dry clay. I need to find something else. I need to find something else. Foam clay has been brought to my attention, but it's very sticky. Need to figure that out. But it's stuff like that where I have made excuses for so long to not do things that would make my life more full. I have been for, I'd say like a week and a half now, really, really into like old Anthony Bourdain books. Anthony Bourdain, for a lot of people, was a reminder that the world is a lot smaller than you think it is, and that there are more things that humans can connect on than argue over. I think the introduction, there's a lot of things happening in my life right now that I'm putting the pieces together. Anthony Bourdain's perspective and what he shared with the world was like that, coupled with eating good food and making myself good food, with keeping up my second language studies, with working out my body and honoring what my body can do, and also with working hard. You know, like there are so many things in production and projects that we're launching soon that I've been working on for a long time, and I cannot give all of my energy to that if I'm like physically not well. So it's just a lot of changes I'm making in my life, and Anthony Bourdain, for some reason, keeps coming up as just, I am very weary of the word hero, because I don't think it's fair or realistic to say that another person is your hero. But there are qualities of those sort of people that it's all I could ever want to be, you know? And I'm reading Kitchen Confidential right now. That's what I'm getting at. It's one of his first nonfiction books that he wrote that just talks about how nasty the restaurant industry is, but at the same time, what a unique experience it was, but at the same time, altogether not unique, because he described being a chef, being a cook, as a slowly dying subculture. A subculture that in America, for some reason, is uniquely like, it's ne'er-do-gooders. It's pirates and convicts and just, you know, men and women and people who are a bit rough around the edges, who have maybe had not so easy a go at life to have you end up on a cook line, you know, as a line cook. I think seeing it through his eyes like that, the way he describes it, of here are people that have such rich backstories, rich in the sense of a lot happened, that have been thrown together of all different backgrounds and create this mafia pirate crew sort of camaraderie in the kitchen. And it's not without your scars and being humiliated and, you know, being made fun of to get to the point where you're great. So in Kitchen Confidential, he tells the whole story of how he got into cooking and how he fell in love with it and how there's levels of pretentiousness to it that, while sure that's its own industry, it's, you know, the Michelin stars and European cuisine, there are so many things around the world that are just as good as, if not better, than gourmet dining. One of Anthony Bourdain's favorite country in the world is Vietnam. He said he loved the people, the culture. The first time he went there was just so life-changing for him. The food, best in the world. And it's like, I admire how he went into all of his experiences with such an open and curious mind, and I don't mean that as like I'm forcing myself to be open. He was genuinely there to learn and ask questions and listen. He loved to talk, but he loved to listen, and there's so many things to take away from that. It's also such a gift to, I would say specifically Americans, because we're very navel-gazing. His show, Parts Unknown, was a gift to people who, sadly, but realistically, probably will never make it out of the United States in their life. They don't have a passport, they never will have a passport, they will never be able to afford international travel. It's just not an opportunity for them. What a limited worldview. And some people are fine with that. They would rather hide under the shade of xenophobia than ever actually open themselves up to learning just how big the world is and how vast human cultures can be. They're fine being in their little hole. And all that to say, his TV show showed those people what they would not be fortunate enough to see. You know, he brought the great big world to the American living room. And it was very, very inspiring that here he is, because he's charismatic and, you know, can speak this language of food with people. But at the same time, the show wasn't even talking about food after a while. So anyway, been thinking a lot about Anthony Bourdain, and I'm taking the time to figure out what it is truly like in my adulthood. Because I had this realization the other day. I'm a full-ass adult. Like, there are things that I was going through some old videos the other day, and just the way that I used to decorate my bedroom, here, since I've lived here, like 3-4 years ago, how I've gone through different styles and hairstyles and changes and the music I was listening to, and all these things are parts of me, but I don't relate to them anymore. And it makes me think a lot about the future, and it's so exciting that I don't know who I'm going to be in the future. I've talked about this before, but seeing where I've come from and seeing the influences that I have right now, it's very fun. It's very exciting to reinvent who you are and rediscover what you like and what you want to do and what you want to say that you have done by the time you're on that hospital bed. You know what I mean? By the time you're old and gray, will you lay there and be like, I am so happy with what I chose to do with the time I had here. And for me, looking in the mirror and realizing I used to be able to play piano because I took lessons when I was 9. I can't anymore. I used to be able to speak Spanish very fluently. You know, I can now, but I have to keep working at it. Cooking. I want to get better at cooking. This Anthony Bourdain book is kind of lighting a fire under me. I'd like to take a cooking class for basics. I don't want to do, like, culinary institute, that sort of thing. I mean, like, how to care for kitchen knives, how to best make some basic dishes, how to blend flavors and know what to look for, that sort of thing. It also inspires me to shop local. There's so many farmers markets around here. Love. Anyway, there are things that I want to make active changes in my life that are so much more important to me than men. And spending time with men, trying to attract men. This is always in my line of, like, what my self-growth and my evolution is that the older I get, the less of a priority it becomes. And I would say it's not a priority right now and hasn't been for a while. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to remove that and just completely crumble it up and throw it away and be like, look at all this shit that's left. Wow, this is who I am. That's who I am. Whoever the fuck I act like or whatever I do when I'm speaking to a man, no, I did not. And if I did, no, I did not. Because this is who I am. You know, I love music and I love language and I love history and I love all these things that make me me. And rediscovering those things and watering those flowers so that they grow and they become, you know, they shine. That's what I want to do. So starting now and carrying that into 2025 is my goal, and I'm very, very excited. Sorry, is that cringe? Sorry, is that cornball? Anyway, I don't know what I've been talking about. Here were 3 notes that I had that I was going to talk about that I guess I'll talk about next time. What is lymphatic drainage, and how do I empty it like draining a pool? Moose are so scary, bro. They're my biggest fear other than death. That was something I wrote. And then I had a new ASMR account that I wanted to show y'all. Oh my god, I actually wanted to talk about this real quick. Watch the Justin Bieber documentary on YouTube. First of all, yeah, I'm a believer, always have been. Justin Bieber, I have dived back into the discography, and let me tell you, it stands up. It holds up. It is fantastic. It will not let you down. I've been back on Believe, and there is this song, because here's the song of the week. It is Out of Town Girl. Oh my god, and 2 others. Runaway Love from My World 2.0, and Right Here by Justin Bieber, and great song, okay? I'm back in my believer phase. All of the documentary basically is about how much of an angel Haley is, and I truly do think he, like, saved him, like guardian angel type shit. Like, truly, he is a blessing to his life, because when you're that famous, that young, I'll talk about this next episode because I have things to say. When you're that famous, that young, with so many negative influences on you, so much expected out of you, so many ideas of who and what you should be, where does the soul of you actually go? And I think Haley sees the soul of him. Me acting like I know them. Haley sees the soul of him, and it was validating for him in a way that an audience, label would never be able to validate him. So, I really would recommend that documentary. It's really special. And I also watched his Zane Lowe interview because then I was on a Justin Bieber kick, of course. The two men of the hour right now, Anthony Bourdain, Justin Bieber. Okay? So yeah, that's been... Because I used to love Justin Bieber as a young woman, as a young girl. And so I'm rediscovering the things you did, okay? Guys, seriously, thanks for listening. I don't know what I talked about. If you have any other workout that you think from what I've described, you think I would enjoy, because fuck Pilates and also fuck CorePower, let me know. And just for real, let me know. Please go vote. Please go vote. Please go vote. You don't have an option. Fate of America's in your hands. And to all my international fans, pray for us. Seriously, y'all. Love y'all. And if you want merch, go shop. Broski.shop. Go get your moo and Broski Report merch. Go subscribe to the Royal Court YouTube channel because we've got a lot of exciting new gifts coming. There's one, y'all, there's one coming later this year that you are going to freak the fuck out. You are going to freak the fuck out. So I just need y'all to lock in on Royal Court because I'm not joking, bitch. I'm not joking. I love y'all. Chapel runs, country songs. Are you out of your fucking mind? It's so well done. Well done. Okay, I love y'all. I'll see you next week. Bye. Can everyone listening, guys, can we take a second? I want you to inhale for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. Okay? Just do it with, I don't care if you feel stupid. I don't care if you feel stupid. Just do it. Inhale. Hold for 4. Out for 4. Feels good, right? I took the yoga class. I learned that. Okay, guys. What a week. There's a lot to say. I know that there is probably an expectation for me to come on here and wax poetical, wax philosophic about the state of the country and about the election results and about where it leaves us, you know, as a nation, as a fractured society, where it leaves us as we head into the holidays, where it leaves us as we stand with our friends, our family. And I want you to know that, as we all know, I am only human, and I'm grieving this in a way that is, it's personal but not unrelatable. And I just want to share a message that kind of is necessary, and I hope it brings a bit of comfort to you. I just want to say that, you know, in these times, the idea of a chosen family is something that in the gay community is one of the most important concepts. You do get to choose your family. You get to choose the people that you give your time to. And just because you are blood related to someone does not mean they're deserving of your time and appreciative of your time. And it doesn't mean that they deserve your life. I want to emphasize that right now, all we have is each other. It's a very scary time for a lot of people in a lot of different states. And to add insult to injury, you know, it's this sort of, not only are you grieving the loss of basic human rights in a lot of areas of the country, you're being made fun of. That is hard in a lot of ways. Where I feel like this negging and this poking is very one-sided, and we live in a reality, unfortunately, that even if the election would have gone a different way, it still would have been equally as polarizing and equally as vilifying and demonizing. And I'm going into this holiday season and into 2025 and the next 4 fucking years with this mentality of divisiveness has been the goal. and they've succeeded. And whoever they is, it's a lot. It's people on both sides. It's people just in power. Divisiveness is the goal, because a unified American people, so much to be accomplished. I just want to emphasize the necessity of unity within your community, the people who love you, and I mean really love you, who voted like they love you. It's now time to be with your people and to do work offline. You know what I mean? There are so many things that I want to say, and at the same time I don't feel qualified to say. I'm not the one. You know what I mean? Look at me. I know how I look. I know who I am. I know my privilege. I know what you see when you look at me. This is the time, and I'm not talking to black women, by the way. Y'all have done your work. You have done your work. I am talking to the white women and to any woman or minority who voted in a way that is the antithesis of your being. What now? What now? It's not just you hurt. You know, it's the whole community of women and minorities in this country. A lot of my issue that I've spoken about a lot on this podcast with being American is how navel-gazing we are as a people, how individualistic we are, how self-centered, how selfish, and what a juxtaposed idea with this idea of being a Christian nation, which apparently is so important to so many people that I didn't realize. What a hypocritical thing. I've talked about this a lot too, that the Jesus that is historically accurate, that the Bible actually describes, the Jesus that is this martyr who is a man of the people, who gave himself so that you could walk free. Do you think that Jesus would vote the way that you voted? It almost brings, I don't want to cry because it's so annoying. I just have such a deep-rooted, unsettling disturbance. I feel disturbed by these by these election results being under the guise of Christianity. I've talked about my walk with Christianity and my choice in leaving the church, but that does not undermine what I know to be true about the Christian faith and the Christian doctrine, which is, it is supposed to be, and forgive my choice of terms, a bit socialist. Jesus would have been a socialist. Jesus was a brown man from the Middle East who hung out with prostitutes and social exiles, and he was one of them. He was one of them. This whitewashed version of Jesus, who a lot of right-wing people hide behind as the reason for a return to the traditional American values, I genuinely, from an academic standpoint, if we're talking about the text, if we're talking about the Bible, if we're talking about the Christian faith, it's the faith of sinners. It's the faith of people who are no good, but are choosing to walk the righteous path, the way that Jesus would have, where you care about your fellow man, you care about your brother the same way you care about your family, the same way you care about your neighbor, more than yourself. Where is that? I don't recognize these Christians that vote the way they do. I feel, it was this state of course, I felt like it was delaying the inevitable. And when I woke up on Wednesday morning and I checked, I kind of knew in my gut, I knew that was going to be the outcome. And I think all of Wednesday so many people was just a day to mourn. It was just a day to mourn. And to be with the people you love. And just this acceptance of like, I did what I could in that moment, you know. But the work doesn't stop. I think the message is forward. We go forward, we move forward. And, you know, I've already cried about it on my own, and I didn't mean to cry. But it's just so heavy. It's so heavy. And it's disappointing on so many levels. I do believe that there is power in community, and taking that community that for a lot of people is only online, moving it offline. I want everyone to just feel okay as you can with the knowledge and the security that this podcast and what I want to do, I haven't always been successful in it, and I'll admit that. What I want to do with what I've built is I want to offer a safe space to people who just are not this new administration, if you're not safeguarded by this new administration, I want you to know that you have a safe space here. As safe as I can make it. Because I love you, and you are loved, and you are valid in a country that really, really makes you feel the opposite. And I just want you to know that, you know, for women and minorities in this country, it is so divided, and there's a lot of right-leaning women who like to think that they are men's equals. You will not be a man's equal. You won't. Not the way that you vote. Not the people you put in power. It will never happen for you. And I want there to be a space that is free to come to just forget it all. Just for an hour a week. To come here and to not have to fucking think about it. That's what I want to offer. And so I didn't have an eloquent speech prepared. I didn't have encouraging words of hope that, you know, I wanted to spread. I just wanted to speak from the heart and say that I want this to be that safe space because the safe spaces are dwindling. They are dwindling. So if you find refuge here, if you find refuge in the comment section under these videos or these podcasts, the communities online, I want you to know my heart, and I want you to know that what I don't want to do is come on here and spread harmful rhetoric. You know, there's a lot of videos and opinion pieces on TikTok that are like, you know, Republicans, I hope you get what you wanted. I hope you get exactly what you wanted. And that feels very vindictive to me, and it feels very petty. And I don't think that should be the focus right now. The focus should be when you're on this side, where it's like you're voting not only for yourself, but for the people you love and for people you don't even know. I want that to extend into this idea of rising above and being a bigger person and hoping for an America that one day will be free and equal, and one day will be unified, and one day will be an America that I will feel proud to become. Because the more we regress like this, the more that freedoms are stripped from people in a country that so values liberty and freedom, the more power we give to a government that does not care if we live or die, it feels like we get farther and farther away from that goal. And, it's heavy. But I will not give up hope that that will be where we end up one day. So, I just want everyone to know that if you listen to this podcast, and if you are a woman or a minority of any kind, I want you to go safe here. And even if it's just a bit of a relief from normal life. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. For what it's worth. And, you know, it's about community and friendship moving forward. And forward we will move. We will move forward. And we'll continue working. And we'll continue. Because someone has to. Someone has to care for the people that don't have a voice. And it's been heavy. It's been a very, very hard last week. And it's going to be a very tough next 4 years. So, tell the people you love them. Try to do something good for your local community. Something small. Do something big. And look out for each other. Love each other. Care for each other. Because we're all we have. I'm going to link some resources in the description that are alternatives to reproductive care in red states that, you know, either don't have access or access is about to be heavily restricted. I'm going to list a bunch of resources in the description if you want to save them, if you want to send them to people. You know, those are for y'all. Okay. Stop crying. Let's get serious. I went to the Wicked premiere. And, well, I went to the Wicked premiere. It was a beautiful event. I think it was a little clusterfucky, and that's fine. There were so many moving parts. There were obviously, like, Cynthia Ari, Jonathan Bailey, like, just an insane, beautiful... This film is so monumental for so many reasons, because when you're dealing, first of all, with any film adaptation of any other medium, whether it be a book, whether it be, you know, a TV show turned into a movie, whether it be a musical turned into a movie, a play, it's always an uphill battle. That piece of media always has a cult following. Wicked, probably number one. It has such a loyal cult following for obvious reasons. If you've never seen Wicked, or you're not familiar with it at all, I would say Wicked is a story of the underdog, and it's about being falsely represented, inaccurately represented, and it's a very topical story, and I think it is always relevant, but now a little bit more than normal. And the cast did such a good job honoring the story, the original portrayals, while, of course, bringing a new life to it. The soundtrack, it was just done with such care. And you can do things in film that you can't do in a Broadway production. And it was so neat seeing Oz, the Wicked version of Oz, you know, not so much like the Judy Garland version of Oz, having the school to university like brought to life, and being able to go into it, and even like the Yellow Brick Road and all of these things, having them come to life in a way that was modern, like with the modern technology that, you know, even in the 50s, 40s, they couldn't see. It was amazing. It stirred a lot of emotions and anxieties and criticisms and all the, you know, whatever. I saw this thing that was like, this movie looks like it's going to be shit. It's so backlit. The whole thing is backlit. There's no bright colors. There's no whatever. It's not what you would want it to be. Like, it just looks like they did this grayscale thing. Hey, what the fuck are you bitches talking about? I will always say this. The internet is so off the mark. Always. All the time. This movie was beautifully colored. It was brought to life And it's like judging a book by its cover. It's judging something by a few screen grabs you saw from some BTS footage of like from 4 years ago. It's like the movie is so well done. The characters were taken care of. The CGI was amazing. It was like, even at times it felt like you were watching the Broadway version. I cannot sing its praises enough. I cried from the opening sequence to the ending sequence, and that's just part one. We get a part two, which very excited for part two. But yeah, it was amazing. The event was a lot of fun. Watching people just, inherently it is political. It is political to embody the spirit of Elphaba. To be like, you want to make me the motherfucking villain, bitch? Watch. I'll show you a villain. To just embrace it. Like, I am wicked, trust and believe. So I really enjoyed it. I think it's so important. The story is very important. I think it's important to invite people to premieres like that embody it, looking around at the people who just dressed up and, bending gender norms and people in dresses and glitter and drag, and it was a beautiful event, and it honored the community, it honored the people who wrote and produced the play. I think John Chu did such an incredible job directing, and it was amazing. I really, really enjoyed it. So soft. Oh, by the way, get into the glam. My stylist kept calling this glam. Get into the look. We wanted to do this like fucked up Vivienne Westwood, Helena Bonham Carter, like Marie Antoinette, like on coke, rock star sort of thing. Put it up here. I felt I'm getting into this like of course I felt glamorous, but it was this interesting take on it. I didn't want to do like here's me in a pink dress. First of all, I'm pink, so pink on me looks bad. But I wanted to, I told her my vision. I was like, I want to do more of like an Emerald City sort of, something that's really nice and how pale I am. But it's interesting and fashion and a cool take on it. And we did that. And so even with the hair, we did this sort of 30s inspired makeup. It was fun. Because I think there's so much more to fashion than just looking pretty. Right? This isn't, I'm not making a groundbreaking statement by saying that. Fashion is about taking risks and doing things that are interesting and forward-thinking. And this was sort of dipping my toe into that, of this sort of fucked up, I don't know, it was fun. Speaking of premieres, I saw a screening of Gladiator II last night. Oh my god. I got my Paul Mescal cup. I got my Paul Mescal merch. Okay, Paul Mescal. Y'all, I need a fucking cigarette. I need a cigarette. There are some people ripping on this movie. Ripping on it. Being really mean. I had a great time. I really enjoyed the story. I think that following up such a cult classic like the original Gladiator, which honestly influenced an entire generation of people, if not specifically young men. The movie is, I think it pays a great homage to the original film and the original IP, while bringing a new young face to the franchise. And also Pedro, hello Pedro. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Joseph Quinn, terrifying. He's fucking terrifying in this movie. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. It just makes me so. I love that shit. And you want to know something too? There are some parts in there where I found myself nerding out, and I was like, this is insufferable. I feel insufferable. There are certain parts in the movie where I was fact-checking. Like, it's a movie. This isn't a documentary. It's not a National Geographic recreation of Roman times. But we're watching, and I'm like, there's one scene where one of the senators has a newspaper. Printing press wasn't invented yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, why is there the Associated Press? Like, why are you reading the Huffington Post? And fucking Roman gladiator times. That was one where I was like, what the fuck? Another one was in the Colosseum when they're showing some of the crowd, like during the gladiator fights, or, you know, when they do the famous, like, mercy, no mercy, and then they all cheer the emperor's execution, whatever. There are women in the crowd. Hey, that wouldn't have happened. And if it would have, they would have been in the fucking nosebleeds. Women and children sat all the way up top, usually baking in the sun, unless they had the sun umbrellas overhead. The way that the Colosseum seating charts were ranked was a very specific thing, you know, and the people who sat behind the emperor's little box were one thing, and then the people, it was honestly like a 100 section, 200, 300, 400 section, like in a stadium. Women and children would not have been allowed in the 100 section, but they were showing it, and then I was like, this isn't me smoking in the theater. Yeah, that's not accurate. No, because they wouldn't have let women in there. Trust. They showed some of the wax tablets, which is cool, because that's how they used to write notes. It was, I think, because, you know, it gets me thinking, it gets the old brain turning around, where everyone knows by this point, because I had to shut the fuck up about it, I kind of had an addiction to the Roman Empire for a second because of the book series I'm reading, where it's all based on Roman society and, you know, in imperators and praetorians and all of the ways that the Roman military was arranged, and like legionnaires and lancers and all these things where the emperor had, it was the sovereign, had people in charge, and it was this idea of power is in brute strength. Power is not of the mind or of the words or of the mouth or of how you can inspire a state or an audience. It was about brute strength and violence, and for a lot of emperors, and that's how the Roman Empire expanded to the point that it did, where it covered all of Europe, parts of North Africa, you know, parts of it went all. It was just, there is a reason that was able to happen, and it's because of brute violence. There's a famous Roman saying, which is "Se Victus," woe to the conquered, right? Like victory to the emperor, and if you get conquered, they'll start with you. Sorry, oh, we didn't mean to, but you either submit or you die. And then any town that's been conquested is now you're enslaved to the Roman Empire. Become a slave or die. It's just, it was, I don't know. The Roman Empire is so intriguing, and I'm not going to even attempt to sound like a historian because I'm fucking not, and I'm just going to make a fool of myself. But I will say, what is so intriguing to so many people about the Roman Empire is the brutality, the injustice, the inhumane ranking of significance of human life, the privileges afforded to those who just, you know, did nothing to earn it. In the beginning, maybe, the same way that people were like, oh, George Washington, he's the second death. You know, he didn't want to serve. That's what makes him exactly who should be a ruler. Even though George Washington was a racist, horrible brute. I think that the Roman Empire is so intriguing in that sense of how it just spiraled out of control by the end of the empire. And through all that, you know, you're mourning how exploitative and violent and omniscient and what's the word I'm thinking of? Omnipotent? Where it's almost this godlike level of nothing happening in private. You have informants everywhere. You have spies. Like, there are any attempt at rebellion will be crushed. There is no hope if you attempt to rise against the empire. All of that's happening, right? Because the Gladiator is a story of rebellion and a story of honor and strength in the real sense, not, you know, killing in the name of honor or doing this in the name of honor, like true honor, whatever that means. All this, these horrifying deeds are happening under the name of the empire. At the same time, incredible progression for humankind between the aqueducts and between the amphitheaters and between the construction of things like the Colosseum and the Pantheon and all of these things that are just like, how the fuck is they have the science and the math, and well, we know where they got the manpower to build these things, and they still stand today. And it is a testament to when you put the human mind to work for the purpose of betterment and improvement, I say that in quotes, of human society, look what you can accomplish. That still stands the test of time today, thousands of years later, 2,000 years later. So it's like, both things can be true at once, right? Here's this horrible, exploitative, brutal empire with lasting and notable achievements for all of humankind, and both are happening at the same time, and you cannot discuss one without the other. And this movie just, it stirred that in my brain a lot, where I was like, God, they're just awful, but yeah, that's a beautiful piece of stone, like a marble. The way that the mosaics they would make out of tiles, and the paintings, and the statues, and the carvings, and it was just, to have such decadence juxtaposed with such squalor. Wow. So the movie was great. Paul Mescal. Oh, Paul Mescal. What a man. What a fucking man. Hey, shout out the Irish. One thing about this podcast, stay right there. Ole, 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 ole. Ole, ole. Ole, 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 ole. Slancha, wait. Slancha, slancha. Slancha in my Paul Mescal cup. I am a fucking Ireland lover. I am an ally of the country of Ireland. And I know all the shit I said a few months ago. I know I had said, I'm going to bomb Ireland. I'm going to nuke Ireland. Okay? Because a young Irish gentleman had tried to fuck on me. He tried to play on me. We're not doing that, okay? And did I consider pressing the red button under the table and nuking all of Ireland? Yes. Did I do it? No. Because am I not merciful? Is your inbred not merciful? Me to Ireland. Mercy! Yeah, dude. Almost nuked Ireland. I didn't, though. Because why? You're Paul Mescal. Anyway. He did so good in this movie, dude. I believe him. I believe him. He's a great actor. I believe every word that came out of his mouth. There's this scene where he, like, recites poetry. Damn near had to leave the theater. Damn near had to leave. Damn near had to escort myself, my person, out of the theater. Go to the bathroom. It was crazy. So I saw early screening. I'm going to the premiere. I said, I'm going to go see it in theaters again. Fuck you, dude. I'm seeing it 3 times. I'm seeing it. Un, deux, trois. En deux, trois. Movie's so good. Pedro Pascal. That's my man. You know what I mean? I've been a Pedrito lover for so long. And you want to talk about ally? Pedro Pascal. Ally? Did someone say ally? Pedro's answering the phone. Okay? Yeah, me and my friend Elizabeth, we looked dressed as emperors, of course. Because, of course, and then I looked like Jesus a little bit, yeah, by accident. Put it up here. I was so excited. They said, come dress silly if you want. Say less. I cracked open my costume drawer. Say less. I'm dressed up. I'm already dressed up. I went to bed in this last night, anticipating waking up this morning to go see the screen. Anyway. I love movies like that. I think it really stirred something in me the same way that House of the Dragon stirred something in me. It's an obsession with glory and honor. Save this woe to the country. It was just so... What is that? What do you think that is? What do you think's wrong with me? Is that my... Is that what's wrong with me? Is it maybe sometimes I think that I'm like a Roman man? Sometimes I think I'm a gladiator. Maybe in a past life I was like a dragon rider, gladiator, maybe something. I'll have to write a book. I have to put all of these thoughts of honor and sacrificing yourself for a worthy foe. All that swirling around in my head, dude. I was born to hold a sword. Hold on. Doesn't this look right? Doesn't this look right when you see this? Are you not entertained? Halt! Stop right there! Those who stand before me, prepare to die. Right? It's just saying that's all in my hand. And there's like a lion on the end of it. A lion. What would my house sigil be? My sigil? Do y'all remember Brother Bear? Remember the movie Brother Bear? Hold on, let me squeeze my sword. The movie Brother Bear, the DVD, had this little quiz you could take. You remember this? Little quiz you could take where you could find your spirit animal. It was like a BuzzFeed quiz that you would take it, and it was like on the menu you could do it, and you would select all these, like, what's your favorite element? Water, earth, wind, sun, whatever. And I did all that, whatever. At the very end, salmon. Salmon? I wanted to be a wolf. I wanted to be an eagle. What the fuck do you mean I'm a salmon? I was pissed off. A salmon? Also, I was 10. I couldn't pronounce salmon. Salmon? I don't want to be a salmon. I want to be a wolf, baby. The dumbass quiz on Disney says salmon. I'm not a salmon. Stop, I'm not. I'm not a salmon. I just hit the wrong button. I wasn't. Had a meltdown over it. Hated that. Now that I am a voting adult, I am of legal drinking age, I pick my house sigil. And my house sigil is a dragon. It's a sick-ass Welsh dragon. Actually, maybe it's not a dragon. Actually, let me take a look. What is my house sigil? Animal. What is your coat of arms animal? Hell yeah. If this says salmon, I'm literally going to have a crash out. Someone has broken into your house. What do? Beat them up, call the cops, set a trap. Okay, are we lying or are we being... Is this who I think I want to be or who I really am? I'm calling the cops. Call the cops. You're playing paintball. You're the last one on your team. What do? I'm getting shot. I'm dying. I'm getting shot. Surrender and try to negotiate a treaty. Run out and shoot them all. Perform stealth attacks. I'm surrendering. I'm trying to negotiate a treaty. Because here's the thing. I know I'm not strong. I know what I lack in my physical makeup, I can try to make up for with my mind and my mouth. Because the greatest weapon that God hath given us is our ability to negotiate and to reason with our fellow man. The best weapon we have been armed with is logic and reason. You're playing a game with some friends. If there's a new kid, what do? You make friends with them. Make fun of them and leave them out, invite them to play with you, do nothing. And wait, see if they do anything. Invite them to play with you, yeah. You catch someone cheating off you on a test, what do? Well, I would tell the teacher afterwards. Do nothing and let them. Make a big deal about it and tell the teacher. Use it to blackmail them later. This might be sinister, but I'm using it to blackmail them later. Right? Because I'm keeping tabs. Because guess what? I'm smart. Because I know you did this. And do I have proof? No. But here's the proof. Pull up his test. And then pull up mine. The ones I got wrong on purpose, he'll get wrong on purpose too, because I sabotaged them, because I was going to blackmail him because I knew he was cheating. Good. Someone cheats in PE. What do? Cheat back, argue with them, let it be, have fun. What are you cheating in PE for? Let it be, have fun. I don't care. I'm lying. I'm cheating back. In PE? Yeah, I don't care. You see a homeless person on the street, what do? Donate to them, leave them alone, confront them, and tell them to get up and get a job. I'll donate to them. I'm a stag. That actually goes crazy. Your animal is a stag. You don't fight unless provoked. You prefer peace and harmony. Fuck yeah, I do, dude. Stag goes crazy. A stag goes crazy. A stag goes crazy. I am a stag. Oh, I like that. At least I wasn't a fish. Like I said, I'm going to take one more. I'm going to take one more because that felt good. Hell yeah, I'm a stag. Which divine sigil will be bestowed upon you? Hell yeah. Brittany. Divine sigils are special marks that are imprinted on the body parts of a select group of people as a reward for their merits by the gods themselves. Not only are they badges of excellence, The fate grants the lucky user the ability to cast the truest form of elemental magic, which derives directly from the god who grants it. They also serve as a means of greatly enhancing one's magical abilities, even strengthening certain properties of it, depending on the sigil. This quiz is based off some lore that I wrote for a personal project. Hell yeah! By Spectral Usurper. Let's freaking do it. Okay, I'm gonna take this and we'll come back. Ooh! The Sigil of Ice. The Divine Sigil... The Divine Sigil of Ice is one of the many obtainable sigils. The god of ice takes note of those who show a high amount of sharp intuition. Scholars, alchemists, and soldiers often earn these ice sigils through their persistence and quick thinking when the situation needs it. Signature characteristics of ice sigil bearers are perseverance, fortitude, intelligence. Hell yeah. And then suddenly on the hilt of my sword, on this side is an ice sigil, and on this side, a stag head. Fuck yeah, bitch. Bitch! That's actually crazy. I am a stag. What are you doing? Do it? Yeah, I am a stag. That's right. Anyway, that quiz is honestly very validating for me. I think I needed to be told that I'm a creature of peace unless provoked, because I find that to be very true. I also think that I am a creature of the nighttime, not a creature of the daylight. I also find myself to be drawn a bit more to autumn and winter. I'm not really a big spring-summer girl. I have allergies and I get sunburned. Okay? Taurus is... Oh. Taurus is an earth sign? What does that mean? What is an earth sign? What is an earth sign? Characterized by being grounded, practical, and focused on the tangible aspects of life, embodying stability and a connection to the material world. Essentially, they are considered the builders of the zodiac. With these hands, they are often hardworking and dedicated to achieving their goals. Fuck yeah. Salvador Dali was a Taurus? Crazy. Artistic and innovative capabilities. You know what? I talk a lot of shit on astrology sometimes. Actually, not that much. I think astrology is very interesting, and it honestly gags me a little bit how accurate it is sometimes. Because I'll read for Taurus, and I'm like, okay, relax. Damn! Oh, okay, relax. Like, it's really accurate. And sometimes I think that I'll read a horoscope or I'll read a descriptor of what a Taurus, the characteristics can or should be, default. And I often think, is this a version of myself I have not come to know yet? Is this something that maybe in the future I'll tap into someday? Where as I mature a little bit, as I level out, maybe in my 30s, in my 40s, in my 50s, different personality traits will take over. Whereas maybe I was a bit more bullheaded in my youth, I'll get a bit more open and whimsical and curious in my older age. Because I think that's the thing, more than anything, if I was reading my own personality chart, right? If I didn't know me and I was reading myself, I think that there's an innate desire to be seen as deeply intellectual and to be respected as such, as someone who is smart. But there's a little monster, a little tiny monster in my brain that is like, you'll never be that, and you are not that, and that's wishful thinking. But I think also part of it is being humble enough to realize that there are always going to be people way smarter than me, and that there's always something to learn. That is the gift of life, I think, is you will always be a student. We're all students of life, and you never stop learning. And to think, the greatest mistake you can make as an academic or a scholar or an intellectual of any sort is to think that you know it all, or to think that you've learned all there is to learn, or that you've seen enough and you've developed your opinions and that's just it and they'll never change. If only we were so concrete. If only the human psyche was so, we crave certainty and we crave stability, and the true testament is letting go of that idea that you've learned, all there is to know, or you understand how things work. The world is always changing. things are always happening. I'm always in situations. You know, I think that's it, is you can never be too confident in your worldview and in how you understand the world as it is. So I don't know. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's something that I think about a lot, is I always want to stay open and curious. And when I start to feel like if I have a hard opinion on something, that's serious, you know, not whimsical or some pop culture thing. But sometimes the pop culture stuff lends itself to, is this really how I feel about people? Or why am I passing such harsh judgment on someone I've never met, on someone who is presenting one way online, who people post online for a multitude of reasons? We know that rage baiters exist. We know that people involve themselves in controversy to stay relevant. We know that people behave, they act out, they behave in outlandish ways to be in the zeitgeist, to be in the cultural sphere where people are talking about things. And for some people, you have to do that. For other people, it's not your information. It's not my information. And I don't know. I know people behave in a lot of different ways for a lot of different reasons. And to act like I know why, or that I understand it, or that I can group all these people into one thing, or group, you know, people in my family, or my friends, or strangers I don't know, or someone I see on the street, I can pass a judgment on them, which I find myself doing every single day against, you know, my better nature. I want to change that about myself, and I think that being, back to this idea of being an intellectual, is acknowledging that there are things that are not for you to understand, but it's important to ask questions. Does that make sense? Maybe that's this thing of like being rooted and grounded, accepting that you don't know everything and you won't know everything, but staying open and curious to learning. That's very important to me, and it's something that I find myself straying from. And it doesn't feel good when you stray from that. When I find myself being really judgmental or really critical, which I can be, I always want to reroute and come back onto this straight and narrow of everyone has their own journey, and everyone is struggling with things, and who am I? Who am I to really think me better than them? To think myself better than them, or think myself, you know, I've got it all figured out, why can't they? It's not that hard. And then I lay in bed at night and I'm like, but I don't have it figured out, I don't want to be a salmon because I'm fucking fish in the water, I really just stick to wrong answer, but I'm a stag! You know? Anyway, I want to share with you guys some of my November favorites. My November favorites. Give it up for my November favorites, guys. Seriously. These are just random. They're in no order and they mean nothing, except they mean everything when you think about it. My number one November favorite is noticing the way that on a tube of lipstick, when someone applies lipstick, the way that the makeup looks after. You know, like the shape of different lipstick heads, the way that different women apply it. Some women apply it like top down, where it's just a rounded stub. Some people try to keep that slanted cut of the product, and then it forms to their lips. Pull up this thing I'm talking about. Put it up right here. The way that women apply their lipstick differently. Not just women, anyone applies their lipstick differently. I think it is it's one of those things of a little quirk of how humans are, and how beautifully different we are, and what it means. You know, all those psychological analyses of what this is, of how we do our handwriting, of how we tie our tennis shoes, how we hold our forks, how we hold our pencils. It's just all these things that we were taught, quote unquote, in a uniform way how to do this in school. You know, how to hold a pencil, how to whatever. But things develop. Our personalities come out, and they are shown in all of these unique ways. And you'll find other people who do it the same way as you. It's really this thing. I've been addicted to that recently. I follow this girl on Instagram who does like get ready with me, and she wears the same lipstick every day. I love that. A creature of habit. I'm addicted to that. And she'll always be like, I'm wearing this color today. And when she pulls up when she, twists it up, it's got that divot in it. Because it's the way that she applies her lipstick, and I'm addicted to it. Okay, anyway. Number 2, kitchen knives. Okay, I'm really into, still in my Anthony Bourdain fix, kitchen knives, taking care of them. I've got a set of cook knives, and it's a classic chef's knife. It is a, what's the word? What's the word? It starts with a P, and it's how you peel shit. Different stuff. What are the 8 types of knives? Paring knife. A paring knife. It's what you use to like de-skin a lemon. Why is my brain not working today? It's what you use to peel the lemon or fruits or carrots or whatever, and you do it. It's a paring knife. Boning knife, carving knife, yeah, bread knife. All these. I have all these, and then I have this normal steak knife. I bought a knife sharpener. Oh my god, I didn't realize how easy cooking could be if you just sharpen your fucking knife. You know those videos where Josh, what's his name, Josh Weiserman, the chef from Austin, where he'll be like, this is how sharp your knife should be. And he'll hold a piece of paper and cut it and it slices it, or he'll hold a tomato and he'll barely do and he's not even really putting pressure on the knife, it's just that sharp. I just tried to cut a tomato with my knife before I sharpened them. It squishes it completely down, ruins the fruit vegetable. I truly was like, there has to be a better way. It makes me not want to cook. I sharpened them. Amazing. Changed my life. That's number 2. Number 3, bar method. I'm still doing bar method, that workout class. I don't mind it. It makes me feel good when I'm done with it. I can never finish a full one, like all the different reps, I can never finish them, but it makes me feel good at the end of the class. Number 4, Diptyque has a perfume called Dosun. I'm addicted to that. They have a perfume called Vetiver. Vetiver is it's like the main note, and I'll layer the Vetiver one with different perfumes because it's just so intensely Vetiver, and it kind of smells like grandma-y. You gotta mix with other stuff. They have one called Orpheon. I love that one. I love Diptyque. And then Prada has a perfume called Virtual Flower. And it's good. It reminds me of like, it's just a very girly fragrance. And so I'll do that with like a really masculine one. And I'm into that. I'm experimenting lately. Also, DS and Durga has this fragrance that I am so intrigued by. I've never smelled anything like it. And it settles really nice. Like the base notes are good on my skin. And it's called Gatto. It's like a red cat. DS and Durga. Gatto Blackout. That's the name of the perfume. This is it right here. Yeah, it's crazy. I really like it. They sent it to me. I love you, DS and Durga. They sent it to me, and I love it. So, that's number 4. Moving right along. As we all know, I love Leah Katab from Love Island. She does DIY off the shoulder, like she'll cut the neckline out of a sweatshirt or a t-shirt and just wear that, and it's like, because I sweat a lot, it's really nice. I've started doing that. I've done it for like 4 of my shirts. I'm addicted. I wear them all the time. Next is carrots and sweet potato salad. Not together. I like a baby carrot, and then I found the sweet potato salad recipe that Alyssa, my girl Alyssa Magic, made. It's so good. She made it with cilantro. I don't like cilantro. And so I made it this way, where it's a Japanese sweet potato that you boil, and then you mash, so it's mashed. You do soupy mayo, mixed with a bit of normal mayo, green onion, a bit of seasoned rice vinegar, and then salt and pepper. And the juxtaposition of like the onion and the vinegar with the sweetness of a Japanese sweet potato, oh my god, it's delicious. And you just mix it all up, you mash it. It's so good. I'll do that with like a protein chicken, like a chicken. I like to do rotisserie chicken, because I don't have to cook it, with Japanese barbecue sauce. So good! So good. Love that. And my last one of my November favorites, is I'm working up the courage to book a piano lesson. I have not taken a piano class since I was 11, younger than that. I was in 5th grade. 4th and 5th grade, I took piano lessons. I did it in high school. I took a class, like, through the school in high school, where I would just basically read the sheet music and teach it to myself. The instructor didn't do bullshit. He didn't help me at all. Because we'd have to go up and perform in front of the class. He wouldn't correct my timing. He wouldn't correct anything. He was just like, pressing good, 95, next. I want to take a piano class as an adult because there are some songs I know how to play by muscle memory, and there are some songs that if you gave me 3 hours, I could get through one page of sheet music. It wouldn't be to the right timing. It wouldn't be a correct play of it at all, but I could figure out the notes, and I could try to memorize, you know, a few bars, maybe a few lines. I really want to get back into it. I also think it'll help my brain think better. I think I did too many edibles this year. My memory loss is bad. I don't know what I did. My memory loss is bad, and it makes me feel stupid, and it makes me feel slow, and like I can't keep up and communicate the way that I used to be able to, and I fucking hate it. I hate it. I'm going to stop doing edibles, and I want to start taking piano lessons again. I'm sticking with my Spanish. I still do my Spanish lessons, and I'm reading more. And it feels good. And, you know, it's about the little things. I didn't even get into the 4B movement. Fucking, yeah, I'm doing that. Hey, yeah, I'm part of it. Especially after this fucking election. So it's things like that where, okay, we made it. We have completely decentered men, other than Paul Method. We have completely decentered men in a way that my decision-making, my life, my career, my body, the way that I spend my time, what I look at, none of it is centered around men anymore. And it is so liberating. Like, we finally made it. And in all this time I have now, look at all the things I can do. Look at all the things I want to do. Where in the past I've been like, I don't know, there are more important things. Now I'm like, no, actually, for me, what's really important is taking a piano lesson and sticking with it. So I want to start doing that because I that's what little me would have wanted, and it makes me feel smart, and it's fun. It's fun to play an instrument and be like, I went from not knowing how to, these are just like black blobs on a piece of paper with lines on it, to I see and hear the beautiful music that is on this page. You know how, like, that's going to make you cry. You see the world in a different way. Like, when you see the music, and you hear the music, and you mix the music. Wow, that's so beautiful. That's what I want to do. That's what this new year is about. I want to make the music. Okay. Those are my November favorites. So, my homework for you guys is to make your own November favorites. And I don't mean products. Some of them can be products, fine. Okay, the perfume and the fucking whatever, those are products, fine. I mean, what are your favorites? What are your things, your concepts, the things that are bringing you joy, that you've never paid attention to before, that it's a new thing you've discovered you like? Pay attention, be mindful in your life. Find out the things that you like and the things that you don't like, and avoid the things you don't like. I'll leave you guys with, of course, all the links in my description, and the song of the week, which feels also incredibly relevant. It's Empire Now by Hosier. I'm addicted to the song. I have been since we released this little post-album EP. This song is about the future and how it's dystopian and how, you know, I wouldn't save the world. Like, things are going so bad, I wouldn't save the world. Let it burn. Sort of thing, you know, it's very like, it's a thing. I don't know if I echo the sentiment. I think it's a very poetic, cinematic take on the way that we're, like climate change and everything, how we're burning this world to ash. And it's very easy to take this removed, dismissive, petty approach of like, I don't give a fuck. Burn me down with it. Like, I'm not saving this world. Of course, that's one side of the way I feel, right? It's easy to lean into that when you feel so overwhelmed by, does no one else see that the world is on fire? So we're on fire with it? That's one side of it. The other side, of course, is unbridled and undying hope that we will make it out together. 2,000 points. Okay, love you guys. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. If you want Broski Report merch, you can go to broski.shop. If you want a moo you can go to broski.shop. The moo are very comfortable. It's wintertime, okay? Christmas is coming up. You want to get your boyfriend a little, you want to get your man friend a little moo so he can free ball in it. And a bright pink polka dot moo. Okay. I think that'll do it for me, team. Loving you. And we'll see you next week. Hello, citizens of Broski Nation! No, please sit. Thank you for coming. Today we celebrate democracy. Is the Roman Republic a democracy? Is a republic a democracy? Is that a stupid question? Is a republic? Yes. Yes. Is a republic a democracy? There is a difference between a republic and a democracy, so it's easily overlooked. You know what? Really quick, let's just sort of go through it. Okay, just read through this for like 45 seconds, realized that I don't care and I have other stuff to get to. Okay, today is not the day we find out what the difference is between a republic and a democracy, but maybe tomorrow. Always look to tomorrow, team. This dress is about to piss me off. Okay, Broski Nation, welcome, first of all, and let me sort of just address the elephant in the room. It's Gladiator Week. It's Gladiator Week. Happy Gladiator Week to all who celebrate. And also Wicked Week, I guess. What are they calling it? Glicked? Yes. Okay, so much to get through today. This one's going to be a brainy one. So if you're feeling smart today, or if you're not feeling smart today, lock in regardless, because we're gonna get through some things today, okay? Today is about learning. It's about observing. It's about having a curious and open, kind spirit. So let's get into that. Before I jump into that, however, we're going to do a quick book club because I just finished the book series that I've been reading for literally the last 4 or 5 months, and I feel empty. I feel empty. They killed off one of my favorite characters, and I feel like I lost a family member. Like, it's that sadness that settles somewhere deep in the pit of your stomach. Like, I cannot kick it. I wake up every morning and I'm like, oh, I miss him. And it's just a character in a book. So, I want to talk about that really quick. Yeah, I finished Red Rising, that whole series. It is truly, it's amazing, honestly, the way that things line up, because that whole book series is, like I've spoken about 800 times, based around the Romans' idea of what a proper society is. And of course, it's adapted to this future dystopian sort of scenario, post-American Empire, post, the raping and pillaging of Earth, and our move to Mars after we have completely desolated this planet. All that to say, it really heavily plays on this idea of what is, the classic eternal question, right? What is the best way to govern ourselves? And we still don't know. You know what I mean? Like, we have tried many different forms and failed at many different forms. I don't know if there is an ideal format, because who said that shit that was like, the greatest argument against democracy is a conversation with the average voter. Okay, that sort of shit is like very heavily at play here. Basically, you see this classic story of rebellion against the oppressive party. And in Red Rising, you go from this, I don't even know what you would call it technically, but there is a sovereign, and then there are her ruling bodies around her, and then the rest of society is stratified. That's a word I'm looking for, stratified. Like there are levels to it. And it is a ranking of important, it is a very classist and racist ranking, because that's how it was designed. We see, Red Rising, of course, is the indication that it is a rebellion novel. It's about revolution and overthrowing your masters. Throughout the course of it, you see it take a few turns, though. There are different factions within the different, members of society, where this one might have a king, okay, because of their cultural whatever. And then this one has this sort of rebellion leader who's reluctant and doesn't want to become a leader, but of course he's the obvious choice for who must become leader. Then there are the people who want power, who can never have it, okay? So you see it go from an empire to a sort of, I mean, I don't even know what they would call it. A sovereign, like you have a ruling sovereign. Then you see a republic be set up. And democracy is always this, like, prohibited term in this book series, where people are like, well, you don't mean democracy, and it's laughed at. And then, you know, they build the republic, but the key is the republic fails, because of course it does, you know what I mean? So, all that to say, this started me down this really intense cognitive, not spiral, but this sort of deep plunge into those sort of books, right? Because I love Game of Thrones, I love House of Dragon, I love that sort of shit, because there's dragons in it. But these sort of books where it's just politics, like it's truly just politics and war. And of course, Red Rising is shrouded in this intergalactic, you know, futuristic space, whatever. Like there's a Star Wars element to it. But it's really started me down this path of this type of story. And with Red Rising, it seems more like a we can do it sort of thing, versus some of the stories that I was referencing, like in my brain of, you know, this sounds very familiar, are the more ironic, satirical tales of like a George Orwell. So, literally immediately after finishing the 6th book of Red Rising, which is called Lightbringer, I picked up Animal Farm because it was just on my mind. I don't know why. I was like, I feel like these same topics, like it is almost the exact story. And I don't, like, good on my high school English teacher because I was able to make this parallel. And that night I picked up Animal Farm. I mean, it's a quick book. I have it right here. It's like 130, 40 pages. I read half of it and then I finished it the next day. It is literally, it's the same. Not to say that it's the same story entirely, but it's this idea of, because let's have a little English lesson, okay? Animal Farm, as if we remember, is George Orwell's satirical, ironic fairy tale about, it's an allegory to the Russian Revolution, where the revolt flew over Tsar Nicholas II, and in its place we see the rise of Stalin. This is around the time of Hitler, this is around the time of, you know, America in the 30s and 40s. So, keeping that in mind, of like, here is a real-life example of a revolution that kind of failed. Because if freedom and liberty was the goal, my God, how did you miss the mark from that? But that's how it happens, right? Is when there is a vacuum of power, someone will fill it. Okay, so, we read Animal Farm. The brief synopsis, let me give it to you really quick. If you've never read this book, if you never had to read it in school, if you never are going to read it, let me just sort of give you the rundown. Like I said, it's an allegory to a real revolution, but this is all animals. So here we are on Manor Farm. That's the name of this farm. A Mr. Jones, the farmer who owns this farm, is sort of supposed to be the Tsar Nicholas II, right? He's this evil overlord who underfeeds the animals, lives in luxury, drinks himself, you know, into oblivion. Just a neglectful and careless ruler, okay? The animals get the idea to stage a rebellion, okay? It is led by, of course, the pigs, because pigs are always described as being hyper-intelligent. There is one old pig who is an idealist. He's a philosopher pig, and he gathers all the animals in the barn. And he says, sit down, and you see all the animals care for each other, and, you know, the ducks find refuge in the horses' knees, and it keeps them warm, and all the, you know, all the animals are in harmony. Well, Old Major, the name of this old pig, gathers everyone. He's up on this sort of platform, and he says, I've had a dream. I've had a dream where Mr. Jones no longer exists, and we have this farm to ourselves, and it is Animal Farm, and we no longer have masters. They don't whip us anymore. You know, they don't control our food. There is plenty of food in there, but we don't have access to it, you know, because we're not smart, and all these things where he's acknowledging that there is a system at play, where otherwise these animals have been kind of like Yeah, I'm a little hungry, but I guess life's okay. You know, and here's old Major being like, wake up, people! Old Major soon passes away. So now this beautiful idea of a utopian, free society is left in the hands of two younger pigs named Snowball and Napoleon, okay? But this is important. Old Major represents Karl Marx, right? We're talking about communism. We're talking about this sort of idea of everyone's equally. Everyone's equally. Okay, and we know that humans, quote-unquote animals, cannot really enforce that because they don't really believe it. Again, all of this is a fairy tale. This is, and I'll get to why it's called a fairy tale in a second. Let me get to the synopsis. And so this beautiful idea is left in the incapable and incompetent hands of Napoleon and Snowball. They start devising rules, okay, for this new animal farm. They stage a revolt, a rebellion, and it's successful, okay? So Mr. Jones comes out, he's trying to do whatever. They attack him. They all attack him. They chase him out of the farm. It's a success. Okay? They have Old Major's skull. They put it at the base of a flagpole. They take down the Manor Farm flag, and they put up the Animal Farm flag. They say from here on out, all animals are free and equal. They come up with 7 commandments for Animal Farm, okay? Which I will read to you right now. The 7 commandments. Whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. Whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. No animal shall wear clothes. No animal shall sleep in a bed. No animal shall drink alcohol. No animal shall kill any other animal. All animals are equal. Those are the 7 commandments, okay? Take a second and guess if by the end of this book, they end up breaking all of the 7 commandments. Yes, they do, okay? Literally almost every single one. It is such a beautiful, short, simple work that describes this descent of these idealistic values of, sure, of course everyone is equal. But the major theme and the conclusion that you come to at the end of this book, which the pigs even write on the fucking wall, is all animals are equal. Well, some are more equal than others. Okay? That is the point of this book. By the end of it, you see some of their, almost all of their autonomy be stripped. The government, quote unquote, is lying, okay? They say that grain production is up 300%. The farm has never been more successful. Everyone is full and hungry. And yes, you know, we're going to increase work hours, but it'll be for the greater good of all of the animals. Meanwhile, slowly, the pigs move out of the barn into a private little room in the barn. Then they move into the farmhouse because Mr. Jones no longer lives there. Then the pigs start sleeping in their beds. Well, because, you know, we're leaders. We care about you. We're so smart. And, you know, of course, you're toiling with your body. We're toiling with our minds, so you don't have to. And, you know, I require a little bit of extra comfort. Surely you understand. They move into the house. Okay? Then they get into the whiskey. Well, you know, it's been tough yesterday from all of this. We're doing this so you don't have to. That's this repetitive sort of mantra, okay? In the farmhouse. They're drinking alcohol. They start wearing clothes. They start interfacing with the neighboring farms, okay? And those are allegory or references to Hitler and to who the fuck was the American president at the time? Who was the American president during Stalin? Truman. So he's supposed to be interfacing with Hitler and Truman, these neighboring farms. And slowly but surely, you see the animals start to realize this. And it's never to the point where the animals are smart enough to be like, we are in an equal, if not worse position than when Mr. Jones, you know, ran the farm. And then it's this realization of we're too far gone because it is total control. It's a republic to totalitarianism. That's the line, and that's where the book ends. Is you see all the farm animals, all the ones that are left, because throughout this time period of, you know, however it is, 20, 25, 30 years, some of the animals who live really long, who live to the very end of the book, who weren't worked to death or starved to death, can't even remember the times of Mr. Jones. But it's this idea that the ruling class keeps drilling into their heads, well, you don't want to go back to Mr. Jones. Certainly you don't want to go back to Mr. Jones's rule, do you? And the answer is always no, no, no. And the animals don't even remember the time of Mr. Jones. On the side of the barn where the 7 commandments were inscribed, you see slowly, because the animals are not literate, okay? They tried to teach the animals how to read. It didn't really stick. They can maybe get a few letters. Some, like the donkeys or the some horses, can read a little bit, but not really in a reading comprehensive manner. Throughout this time period, the pigs have been adding on to the 7 commandments. And so when faced with that, I don't really remember it saying that animals shall not drink in excess. Well, yeah. Things like that. When some of the animals remember, animals shall not drink, right? So we're rewriting history. We're censoring things. We now have propaganda being spread around by some of the squealer pigs. We have a rewriting of the collective memory. Is there anything more terrifying? And so by the end of the book, of course, all these animals that are left peer through the farmhouse window. It's warm inside. Napoleon has gathered all of the neighboring farmers, and maybe his solicitor, maybe his business manager, they're all sitting at the table in vests and top hats and drinking whiskey all around the table, and you cannot distinguish who is pig and who is human. Okay, right? That's the sort of like, and then the book ends. Crazy. So relevant to this day, I think. And truly, like, this book stands the test of time. You don't need me to tell you that. I'm not a fucking English teacher. There is a reason why this is taught in schools. There is a reason why Orwellian literature is still so important today. And I want to read part of the introduction to this, because there's like a foreword that someone writes, and I can give you that in a second. Who wrote the introduction? This introduction is by C.M. Woodhouse, the Times Literary Supplement. This was written in London in 1954. Okay, so this story is categorized as a fairy tale. And when you think of fairy tale, you think of what? Cinderella, Brothers Grimm, Little Red Riding Hood, things like that. And what is the point of a fairy tale? What is the purpose? Let me read this passage that he has in here, because I literally underlined it, annotated it, highlighted it. It's so, I was like, the point about fairy stories is that they are written not merely without a moral, but without a morality. They take place in a world beyond good and evil, where people, or animals, suffer or prosper for reasons unconnected with ethical merit, for being ugly or beautiful, respectively, for instance, or for even more unsatisfactory reasons. I love that, because that's true. That's how we base society around, if things are beautiful or ugly, well, then they must be good. I have so many thoughts in my head right now. Beauty does not equal good, okay? Something can be tragically beautiful. Something can be horrifically beautiful. Let's do that. A little girl sets out to do a good deed for her grandmother and gets gobbled up by a wolf. A young rogue escapes the gallows and gets someone else hanged instead by his talent on the fiddle. Dozens of young princes die horrible deaths trying to get through the thorn hedge that surrounds the sleeping beauty, just because they had the bad luck to be born before her 100-year curse expired. And yet one young prince, no better or worse, no handsomer or uglier than the rest, gets through merely because he has the good luck to arrive just as the 100 years are up. And so on and so forth. Even when the Grimm stepmothers are called wicked, for all this is related by the fairy storytellers without approval or disapproval, without a glimmer of subjective feeling, as though their pins were dipped in surgical spirit to sterilize the microbes of emotion. Are you fucking serious? Let's reread that sentence. For all this is related by the fairy storytellers without approval or disapproval, without a glimmer of subjective feeling, as though their pens were dipped in surgical spirit to sterilize the microbes of emotion. They never seek to criticize or moralize, to protest or plead or persuade, and if they have an emotional impact on the reader, as the greatest of them do, that is not intrinsic to the story. They would indeed only weaken that impact in direct proportion as soon as they set out to achieve it. They move by not seeking to move. almost, it seems, by seeking not to move. So this is, in this story specifically, right, we'll use Animal Farm as a reference. I was like bucking at the idea of these cruelties and this unfairness being inflicted on these animals, where they escaped one horror just to enter right into another one. And here I am. Orwell's not telling me to feel a certain way about it. He's not saying, oh, isn't this awful? Oh, isn't this whatever? There are little things, yes, that are kind of narrative commentaries to move the story along. You know, and some of the animals remembered it being different, but they trusted Napoleon's judgment because he was the smart pig after all. Shit like that, where it's almost this collective consciousness speaking, and he's just the vessel. That shit is good storytelling, okay? The reader bucks at the passive cruelty and complacency. That's what I wrote there. It's so fucking cool, it's so good. The fairy story that succeeds is in fact not a work of fiction at all, or at least no more so than, say, the opening chapters of Genesis. It is a transcription of a view of life into terms of highly simplified symbols. Amazing. Highly simplified symbols. Animals on a farm. Animal Farm. Oh, and by the end of the book, by the way, they go back to being called Manor Farm, because of course they do. Because the revolution failed. The revolution failed. Okay, so this has started me down this path of, like, I'm rereading all the classics. Started Animal Farm, I'm in the middle of 1984 right now, which is another, like, holy fuck. And it's not even, some of this literature can lend itself to being kind of conspiracy theorist. I think especially the way that the modern idiotic populace interprets some of these books is like, it was a prophecy! No. It was kind of a warning that things could turn down that road. I don't think it's supposed to invoke fear. I think it's supposed to be a mirror. It's supposed to hold up a mirror, you know, to where we're headed and the sort of rhetoric that we allow and the control that we allow without knowing. And it's too late by the time we realize it. You know what I mean? 1984 I'm in the middle of. Next I'm going to redo Brave New World. We had to do Brave New World in English class in high school my senior year, and I had to write a paper on it, and I cannot remember it for the life of me. The only thing I remember is, of course, it's kind of like a controlled state, where it's similar to 1984 where everyone's watching you. You're always being observed. And there's this scene where they, like, unleash some rats on him or something. They start nibbling at him. That's the only thing I remember. So in high school, I was like, ugh. So I'm going to reread that. That book is by Aldous Huxley, okay? He is an interesting character. Brave New World was Aldous Huxley's version of a dystopia. Of this is, I think, in my head, the worst thing that could happen. Like, this is my version of a dystopian society. Brave New World, obviously, studied in school. It's a warning, a commentary, or whatever. On the flip side, he wrote a book that is his version of a utopia, of a utopian society. And that's called Island. And I haven't read this, okay? I recently only learned that it exists, and I was like, how interesting is that? Because usually, you know, authors are like, this is what I think to fucking when the world ends. But rarely have I ever heard of an author being like, and this is what my view of a perfect society is. So how interesting is that, and also how deeply flawed it's going to be, because utopia, I mean, this is a pessimistic worldview, but utopia cannot exist, does not exist, will not exist. We're too flawed of a species, I think. And any attempt at sort of having this religious utopia, like a cult or like a Jonestown, where they sell you this idea of this is the pinnacle of existence. You know, we'll live in harmony, we'll do all this. Not true, not real. Because, I mean, say what you will, but I don't know if man is inherently evil, but we definitely have evil tendencies that will always win out when given autonomy. I don't know why, and I want to believe that's not true, but history says yes it is. Anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna read Island. If y'all have read it, let me know. I don't even know kind of what it's about. I know it's about an island and people on the island, and they live there, and they're perfect. So I don't know. I'm going to get into that, but I have to go on 1984 right now, and look, okay, I'll have a review for you on that in a few weeks, maybe in a week or two. Okay, in the vein of books, I got this book, which I'm so excited about this book. And it's so fucking dumb. Like, this is so nerdy, okay? But I was at Barnes & Noble, as I am, and I came across this and I said, oh. This is called Etymologicon. The Etymologicon, a circular stroll through the hidden connections of the English language. This shit makes my penis hard. Sometimes I see books like this and my penis starts, it gets kind of rigid. Because I love words, and I love how they connect to each other, and I love the origins of words, and I love the European, or not even European, the international sharing of roots of words. Because we know that the Romance languages unite each other, you know, Spanish, Italian, French all sort of have the same root Latin words or bases. And then we know that because of empire and expansion and all that, a lot of Spanish words stem from Arabic words. Ojalá is an example. There are things like that that just, if you study history close enough, which I don't, but I should, it all becomes so evident and clear as to why we use certain words, as to why certain phrases exist. A few episodes back when one of y'all suggested to me, which thank you by the way, the History of the English Language podcast. This is so boring. Don't give a fuck. The History of the English Language podcast, where it was about bread and about how the existence and significance of bread in the human diet and in human history has informed a lot of words we use, like breadwinner, like breaking bread with someone, all those sort of things where we just sort of use them and we all know what it means, but why do we say that? I really, really enjoyed that, so this is just more of that. And just for kicks and gigs, I wanted to turn to a random page and just read it, because why not, team? Let's go through the table of contents and pick one. A game of chicken. Gambling in medieval France was a simple business. All you needed were some friends, a pot, and a chicken. In fact, you didn't need friends. You could do this with your enemies, but the pot and the chicken were essential. First, each person puts an equal amount of money in the pot. Nobody should on any account make a joke about a paltry sum. Shoo the chicken away to a reasonable distance. What's a reasonable distance? About a stone's throw. Next, pick up a stone. Now you all take turns hurling stones at that poor bird, that's horrible, which will squawk and flap and run about. The first person to hit the chicken wins all the money in the pot. Then agreed to never mention any of this to an animal rights campaigner. Okay, I hate when an author tries to be funny. That's how the French played a game of chicken. The French, though, being French, called it a game of poule, which is French for chicken, and the chap who had won all the money had therefore won the jeu de poule. The term got transferred to other things. At card games, the pot of money in the middle of the table came to be known as the pool. English gamblers picked the term up and brought it back with them in the 17th century. They changed the spelling to P-O-O-L, but they still had a pool of money in the middle of the table. It should be noted that this pool of money has absolutely nothing to do with the body of water. Swimming pools, rock pools, and liver pools are utterly different things. Back to gambling. When billiards became a popular sport, people started to gamble on it, and this variation was known as pool, hence shooting pool. I had no idea! Then finally, that poor French chicken broke free from the world of gambling and soared majestically out into the clear air beyond. On the basis that gamblers pooled their money, people started to pool their resources and even pool their cars in a car pool. Then they pooled their typists in a typing pool. Le chicken was free. Stupid author. And then he grew bigger than any of us, because since the phrase was invented in 1941, we have all become part of the gene pool, which etymologically means that we are all little bits of chicken. Stupid, I don't appreciate the commentary, but an interesting point, okay? Gene pool, there you go. The game of chicken. Yet another game of humans being fucking awful to everything and everyone around them. Here's something in the same vein of Gladiator. If you want to hear me talk about Gladiator, that was last week, okay? This week, it's more Roman. Okay, this week I am Roman. Last week I was a gladiator with my sword. This week I am a Roman, okay? My testicles and my balls are hanging out the bottom of my toga. I'm not fighting in the fighting pit. I am preaching on a marble stone staircase, okay? With my, guys, I wore this to go see the staining of Gladiator. I've never felt cooler. But genuinely, we need to bring back togas and great cloth. There is something about the way that this, like, oh my God, of course painters. If I was a painter, way back when, I would have painted that. Look at the way that moves. The Red Bull take that, I feel like. Me like, look at the way the light hits this Amazon Roman pageantry. I really understand painters. I could have painted. Hey, the Red Bull just kicked in. Hey babe, no you can't. You just had a watermelon Red Bull about 45 minutes. Okay, here's something that I want to talk about. In the vein of teaching, in the vein of I'm just really on Roman Empire right now, on the concept, not even Roman Empire, the concept of empire, and how it is quite honestly the pinnacle of human hubris, hubris, right? Ego, pride, hubris, definitely. Excessive pride or self-confidence. Ego. I think it's sexual. Ego. Okay. Yeah, I'm in this sort of thing of, and I don't know what that's called, if there is a term for that mindset of like, maybe it's just pessimism, maybe it's stoicism, I don't fucking know, of just like, I know that this shit's going to fail. There's actually a character in Animal Farm named Benjamin, and he's like this old-ass donkey who doesn't really speak up for all of it. He's a very passive, pessimistic, just realist. And he sees everything happening. And he is one of the only ones that can truly read. And he sees them changing the shit, and he sees everything, whatever, and he never overworks, and he never really underworks. He just does what is expected of him, and he fucking goes home. That character was so intriguing to me, because it's like, are you so comfortable just letting this happen? You are smart enough to know that it is happening, but to just not say anything. And is it this inevitable thing of like, if you say something and there's another revolution and you overthrow the fucking pigs and this happens, are you the new leader? Because look, we know that the animals can't rule themselves. They're not smart. They can't read. And that is a direct fault of who is in charge, that you did not create a literate populace. Anyway, let me move on. In this vein of empire, since I took art history in college, maybe even high school, yeah, I think we took AP European art history in high school, and we came across this series of paintings, which has intrigued me ever since, called The Course of Empire, by Thomas Cole. Thomas Cole's an English-born American painter, so he had a unique perspective on this new idea of an American empire. And this is in the 1830s, mind you. Keep that in mind. And what I like about this is a series of 5, I want to say quadrants. It's not a quadrant, that means 4. A series of 5 paintings that details the rise and fall of an empire, okay? And it's not a specific, of course some of the paintings lend itself to that was inherently Roman, but is that just the only idea that we think of with empires? Because there are so many different empires that have existed. Ottoman Empire, the Ottoman Empire, you know what I mean, where there are so many different types, but there's a through line through all of them where the one gets the name. Okay, there is an excessive amount of luxury for the top ruling class, for their conquests of empire, and how many different different civilizations and societies can they enslave and bring them into the empire. And like I talked about last episode, at the same time that you have this incredible, almost barbarity and just uncivil cruelty, bend the knee to the empire or die. At the same time you have incredible innovation happening with the aqueducts and with the Colosseum and with all of these buildings, and when you have this many people toiling towards the same goal of expansion of empire, sure, like, advancements are bound to happen, but is it at the cost of this? And is that worth it? Versus if we never would have, so anyway. These paintings, let me pull them up, like I said, they detail empire. So we start here with, this is called the savage state. Kind of insensitive, if we're speaking in 2024 terms. This is almost like cavemen, but I don't know if it's, it comes from a white guy painted this. I don't know if by savage they just meant native. I don't know if they actually do mean cavemen. But from here, we can see that there was a semblance of a society. There are tents that they live in. They have communal rites, like dancing around a fire, singing around a fire. Here in the foreground, we see hunters, gatherers. They have weapons. They have tools. So there is a settlement here that is somewhat advanced. I don't know if savage is the right, if that's, a sensitive term. And then in the background, of course, we have more hunters with their bows and arrows. They're hunting game. Okay, now, a through line through all these paintings, if you're listening on audio, I'm going to describe it as best I can. A through line through all of these paintings is this mountain in the background. It's this sort of cliff overlooking a bay, a sea, with this little tiny rock on top. You will see this in all 5 quadrants, all 5 paintings. And it serves as a good, checkmark reminder of nature was there before you, and it will be there after you. And it will consume what you've left behind, okay? That's a through line for me. Let's move on. This is the Arcadian or pastoral state. So here we see, again, here's the mountain with the little rock resting on top. Do I have dial-up internet? What's so fucking difficult to load about this painting? So here we see a temple, okay? They have created a structure out of stone that's been shaped, that's been constructed, put together, and inside, you can see it's kind of massive, how tiny the people are compared to it. They are doing more, whatever this may be, a ceremony, a celebration. And the land, other than that, is somewhat bare. They only take what they need. You know what I mean? We have clothes. We have a musical instrument. Okay. We have down here, we have the introduction of art. So here we have a little boy drawing, a little stick figure, again with the instrument. And then over here in the bottom left, an old man doing what we can assume to be maybe geometry, maybe arithmetic. Okay. He's got a stick. He's drawing in the sand. One of those, what looks like, do you remember those things where it's like, bet you can't do this without lifting your pencil and going over one of the lines, where it's that house and you have to draw an X in it? Do you remember what I'm talking about? Anyway, that's what it looks like he's doing. So this is the pastoral state, okay? Peaceful. Growth in the basement. Next, which we can assume is probably over decades, maybe even hundreds of years, is the consummation of empire. Consummation meaning the pinnacle, the peak, the absolute utmost description of what empire should be. And I say should in quotes. I mean, it's stunning, right? This is what we think of when we think of the height of the Roman Empire. Marble buildings, the Greco-Roman pantheons, and the arches, and the inscriptions of the gods and goddesses. Everything gilded, gold-plated. We have water features. We have exotic plants and animals that have been brought in. Here in the middle, and all this to say, this is in a bay as well. So it's a point of trade, it's a point of commerce and growth and newness, rich luxury. Here on this bridge, this main focal bridge, we see what we can assume maybe is the emperor or a high-ranking military official, someone of great importance to this empire. A celebration is being led throughout the city. So they're on this main bridge. He is on elephant back. He's being led through by an elephant. Now, did it look like elephants were native to this area in the pastoral state? No. So we can only assume that they have been captured and brought back to the empire from a distant, faraway land. There's garland everywhere. There's flowers. There's soldiers on horseback leading him through the city. Everyone's cheering for him. All of these people up on the balcony. There are trumpets and horns playing. These lighthouses are leading people in to the bay, guiding them into the bay. This is a celebration of conquest, okay? A beautiful scene. Now this, compared to the next scene, of course, the next scene, destruction of empire. The inevitable, the impending. And again, in the background, we see the same mountain. It's shifting views through all this. You know, we're doing a sort of like semicircle around this mountain, but it's the same view regardless of the water and this little tiny boulder on top of this mountain. We see this beautiful, pristine image, this view that we had in the last painting, completely just destroyed. This is what we're assuming is maybe an enemy invader. But I think it's more interesting to think that the soldiers and the leaders of this empire turned on themselves, sort of cannibalized themselves, and sort of eating away at their own flesh, so to speak, like the flesh of the empire. Because, again, hubris, we get too pride, we get too prideful, we get too confident in our existence, I think, is godly. You know, we start to believe that we are gods. Look at all this we've created. Look at what I can accomplish with a snap of my finger. All these people that work for me, all of this power and control that I have. It becomes insatiable. Because when you have everything, you don't want for anything. And so you turn to, you know, perverted ideas of delusion. I think that's a more interesting take on this, but of course I think more realistically, this is an enemy invader that came in with a powerful force of an army and just raped and pillaged. I mean, truly, that's what this is, even with the storm in the background. So these beautiful structures that we saw in the last painting, gone, broken. The bridge that the military officer or the emperor was on last time has fallen, and now in its place we see this temporary makeshift wooden bridge that is full of people and soldiers and horses and civilians falling off the bridge into the water. The waves are choppy. It's stormy. This main gladiator statue that represents, you know, conquest and victory, the head is fallen off. The shield chips and shatters. In the background, the lighthouse has been broken. Some of the pillars of these buildings are knocked sideways. Here we have a soldier gripping on to a woman as she tries to flee, pulling her back in. There's blood on the stone. There's dead sons. There's weeping, mourning mothers. This goes all the way into the background. The ships are on fire. These ships are sinking. These look like enemy ships, and some of them are belonging to the Empire. All of this is happening. We don't know why, but we knew it was going to, because all good things must come to an end. And I say good in quotes. So this is, I think, it's a terrifying image, truly, because the way that he painted some of these people's expressions is like, oh. It's just, and also, I love a painting like this with so much detail. I mean, I'm zooming into different areas, and just there more is to be revealed each time. He plays with depth really well. I do enjoy comic book. A lot. Dead soldiers everywhere. Okay, let's move on. And now we move on to the final painting in this series. It is called The Desolation of Empire. Here we see a scene that we are familiar with, okay? The same rock on top of the mountain in the background. A similar natural setting of the moon in the background, where the sun was in the background in the first painting we saw. This is nature consuming what's left of this empire. Ruins. We see one large pillar, maybe some arches of a bridge that we know used to stand, some pillars of an old temple. Everything else has been eaten by vegetation, by water, by moss and ivy. And as it crumbles, I think it's so amazing. It's amazing that this is the constant reminder that we are not bigger than nature. We are not bigger than the forces that be. We are not God. We can play God, but this is where we are destined to land. It will not last. I want to read you a passage. Thomas Cole detailed each of these quadrants. They're not fucking quadrants. He detailed each of these paintings. And I don't think he needed to, but he did. And the final one for this fifth one, I want to read because I really liked it. The fifth picture is the scene of desolation. The sun has just set. The moon ascends the twilight sky over the ocean, near the place where the sun rose in the first picture. Daylight fades away, and the shades of evening steal over the shattered and ivy-grown ruins of that once proud city. A lonely column stands near the foreground, on whose capital, which is illuminated by the last rays of the departed sun, a heron has built her nest. The Doric temple and the triumphal bridge may still be recognized amongst the ruins, but though man and his works have perished, the steep promontory with its insulated rock still rears against the sky, unmoved, unchanged. Violence and time have crumbled the works of man, and art is again resolving into elemental nature. The gorgeous pageant has passed, the roar of battle has ceased, the multitude has sunk in the dust. The empire is extinct. Amazing. This gloomy picture suggests how all empires could be after their fall. It is a harsh, possible future in which humanity has been destroyed by its own hands. The arches of the shattered bridge and the columns of the temple are still visible. A single column looms in the foreground, now a nesting place for birds. I just love it. It's overgrown. This is where we're headed. This is where you're destined to go. You know, if you take and take and take and take, and then you will never win in the end. Nature will win in the end. And that is true across the board. Human nature will win. You know, the nasty, evil side of human nature will win. That's pessimistic view, but I think that's what's being reflected here. Nature in its physical sense will win. It will always overgrow everything we've built. It will take it back. You know, it's lending it to you, but remember that you are not the master. Nature is the master. I just love this series. And I know that there's some commentary here that I don't really feel qualified to go into detail with, but I'll read it off the Wikipedia. As it pertains to American history, this cycle reflects Cole's pessimism and is often seen as a commentary on Andrew Jackson and the Democratic Party. However, some Democrats had a different theory of the course of empire. They saw not a spiral or cycle, but a continuing upward trajectory. Levi Woodbury, a Democrat and a justice of the United States Supreme Court, for instance, responded to Cole by saying that there would be no destruction in the United States. Well, how wrong you are, my good man. Anyway, I fucking love these paintings, and from the moment we studied them until now, I mean, I think one day when I have my big at-home library where, you know, Courtesans and Roses, Hunger Games, highlights, all those will be displayed in my library, I would like some, what's the word I'm looking for? Like reprint. I would like all 5 of these hung in my office, like in a little upside-down pyramid. I want it so bad. I love these paintings. I love the detail. I love what it represents. I love the through line. And I love that it is a cycle, if you arrange them like that, where the desolation of empire almost circles right back into the pastoral, where you're, once again, nature is king. And then you go in this circle. I mean, that's all humanity is. You just go in this circle of like, I'm God. I'm not God. But I could be God. I am God. You know, it's like we play with this idea of us having power. We never have power. Okay, team. Let's get the fuck into music. Here are my songs of the week. Let me just preface this by saying I'm in the throes of obsession. What's new? And this is an obsession that has been here before. We're not stranger to it. But, it's Sam Fender. Sam Fender. I love the Fender. He's going on tour. He's going on tour in America. You know how long it's been since he's been on tour in America? And did he pick the most random ass cities to go to? Yeah. Why are you going to Tempe, Arizona, and not to Austin, Texas, and Los Angeles? What the fuck, bitch? Anyway, Sam Fender. he released a new song called People Watching. I'm addicted to it. This literally isn't like, I know that sometimes labels will pay people to talk about music. This is not that, okay? This is from the gut and soul of my being. I love the Sam Fender, and his new song is really good. And so I've been in this Sam Fender kick again. And, you know, all things, if you find a through line through things, there will always be, if you look for it, it is there. Through this idea of, like, empire and, you know, failed whatever, and hubris and pride, and we try to have nature bend to our will, that will never happen. Sam Fender has a song called Play God, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. Play God and Long Way Off. Those are two Sam Fender songs. Please go listen to them. And like I encourage you with Hosier's music, go read the lyrics. Even with Ethel Cain's music, go read the fucking lyrics. Because not only is it a fucking tune, okay, it's a fucking tune, and I'm dancing, I'm having a good time, the lyrics are making me absolutely piss on my face. They're so good, but they're so... I really can't describe it, because I think sometimes we just overlook the craft of songwriting, because it's turning out a hit. It's turning out a catchy hook that will get you played on the radio, and there is less of a spotlight on how impactful some of the lyrics are in the revolutionary sense that, you know, music moves people. And you don't have to have brainy lyrics to really move someone. But these two songs, dude, I really do think Sam Fender is like a modern philosopher. And he's just very, and I say that and it sounds funny because he's just like a shithead white guy from Northern England. But I love that dichotomy of, like, he admits, he's like, yeah, I'm just a fucking lad. He's just a lad from Shields, okay? But fuck North England. Love you guys. But seriously, what's going on up there? And he's just, I genuinely think he's a genius. The way that he structures the words, I feel the same about Hosier. The way that he structures the words, I would read that as poetry. Not even, it's a fucking added bonus that he can sing and play the guitar crazy. Like, it's such good music, and the lyrics are so, it's part of just, like, how do you make a protest song that isn't a protest song? Because protest songs are corny and cringe. And you don't want to make a song that's like, I'm going to sing about how COVID was sad. No one wants to fucking hear that. So how do you take the emotions that you're feeling that are incredibly topical and incredibly relevant, and everyone's feeling that way, of like, we live in a dystopia where there is so much injustice at the hands of people that we put in power, and we feel hopeless and powerless. And he captures that, I think, in a lot of these songs. And I just love him. And I think that he is so wildly intelligent. And he masks it behind this, like, I'm just a lad. That was a bad northern accent. Sorry about that. Newcastle. Sorry. If you're from Newcastle, sorry. Okay, I love Sam Fender, that's all. I'm gonna, like, literally go to probably 5 or 6 shows. I will be a groupie when he comes to the U.S. And I don't want to meet him. I keep that man away from me. I'm just going to be, like, in the crowd at every single show, probably crying, topless, high. Okay. Love you guys. Sorry for this brainy episode. Actually, no, I'm not sorry, because I wanted to talk about this. And I think it's topical, and I think that reading is a power that we don't exercise, because even a book like this, even a book like Animal Farm, this is banned in certain places of the world, of the country. This book is banned in some states. You cannot buy it. That is a terrifying idea to me. So as much as, you know, I love to make y'all laugh on this podcast, I've been thinking about this shit a lot, and I've enjoyed reading it, and I think that it is necessary, and I just want you guys to join me on that, you know, on that idea of staying educated and taking advantage of the access that we have. The access that we have. Okay? Loving you guys. Loving Sam Fender. Everyone invest in a toga. Okay? Everyone's free ball. I'm going to the Gladiator premiere. Wish me luck. And I'm bringing my dad, and we're going to have a great time. Okay, love you guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.
I start you my favourite worst nightmare. Ask if we could have 6 in. If not, we'll have to have 2. We're all coming up on our end, aren't ya? Well, I'll get one with you. Ask if we can have 6 in, especially not with the food. Cause it gets cold as snow, though, and getting us to be rude. You see her with the green dress, she talks to me at the bar. I miss Arctic Monkeys. I miss when the Arctic Monkeys were little British fucking rats. When they were little, like, nasty, cockney Sheffield rats. Now Alex Turner is all, oh, there better be a fucking mirror ball. Oh, I love Alex Turner. Don't get me wrong, okay? Do not get me wrong. However, I went to the last tour, and what? When did me and Tato go? 2023? They came to Dallas, and we saw them. Which, by the way, that was 10 years in the making, because they stopped touring in 2015, which I hadn't even graduated high school yet, and Arctic Monkeys were like, fuck you, bitches. You will never get to hear Arabella live. And I said, Echo. And I begged my parents to go. I said, please, you don't understand. They're going to go to hiatus after this. I don't know whether they're going to make music next to these two. Fucking solo project I don't like. Shadow puppets I don't like. Even though people love the shadow puppets. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I was never that. There was this weird little gay thing on Tumblr where they were like, we want Miles and Alex to have sex and have a child. And I'm like, neither of them are gay. Anyway. Yes, what was I talking about? Oh, when we saw them live in 2023, he's doing this, like, hotel jazz singer jazz. But he's still playing the hits, and he's singing them like Zach and Cody's mom, and it's like, and so I'm like, Alex, lock in, okay? And I think he does that on purpose, which honestly is hilarious. He'll do that shit on purpose, or he'll sing it a little behind the tempo, or he'll kind of freestyle it. He'll kind of go pork and beans on it. That's a new thing I'm testing out, and Taylor does not like it, okay? You know how people be like, people be like, I went ham on it. I went ham on it. Okay, I started to say that, like I went ham and beans on it, and then I started to say I went pork and beans on it. And every time I say it, Taylor gets mad. Because she's like, no one says that, it doesn't make sense. And I'm like, you know what? They called Thomas Edison stupid. I don't know if that's true. They called Thomas Edison an idiot at first. Definitely not true. He's like one of the best inventors ever. But actually, oh y'all, I have so much to talk about today. And the number one thing is I broke my middle fingernail. Don't talk about it, okay? Also, body mod. I got a new piercing, okay? Thanks for noticing. Okay, I want to talk about, actually let's transition from, you know those games where you can connect point A to point Z? I could do that, for real. Because I'm about to connect Alex Turner to Nikola Tesla. To give me like literally 10 minutes, and I'm about to do that, okay? Here's the thing. Alex Turner is an innovator, and what was I trying to say? They called Jesus crazy. They called Jesus a fucking liar, okay? Maybe that was what I was trying to say. I'm trying to say that Thomas Edison, when the idea of electricity was first kind of, you know, circulating, people could not comprehend it. That it was magic, okay? Then, you know, look at where we are today. It becomes integrated into society, okay? What I'm trying to say about Alex Turner is that he's doing this weird, like, jazz singer thing when they came from this, like, nasty garage pop-punk band. Not pop-punk, what would you call early Arctic Monkeys? AI overview on Google is saying it's a hybrid of indie rock, garage rock, and post-punk revival. I'm so smart, but I'd literally not just say garage, nasty post-punk revival. Every time I hear revival, I think it's like a church. Like, we're going to the revival. And I'll feel it. Lord, thank you. Me listening to Arctic Monkeys. Do I want to know? Me in the audience. The farting preacher. Okay. Do you consider early Arctic Monkeys a punkish band? Absolutely. Have you ever heard Red Light Indicates Short or Secured? Have you ever heard Favorite Worst Nightmare? Let's go to that album. I've been addicted to that album. I remember in high school when I was like, I like Arctic Monkeys. because I heard Do I Want to Know, and I heard Are You Mine, and I was like, oh, I'm fucking with this. Fucking with a capital F and a hard G, okay? Then I was like, oh, they have more albums. And the first one came out in 2007, and I went back into it, and I was like, that Jay-Z gif, and I'm like, me? And then I got into it, of course. It's so interesting as like a middle schooler, high schooler, being like, do I like this? Or do I just think that I should like this based on what everyone else is saying? You know what I mean? But I like it. I do like it. What's it called? Arctic. Guys, the beverages today, what's on the menu today for the Broski Report? We're doing sugar-free Red Bull, because I ran out of my bullshit. Chocolate for your protein. Hydro flask full of lukewarm water, because all my ice melted. And earlier, I had a hazelnut coffee with a bit of pumpkin spice creamer. Very free, mind you. What is this album called? Favorite Worst Nightmare? Yeah. And then the next one was oh no, the first one is whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not. This album goes crazy too. I bet that you look good on the dance floor. I don't know if you're looking for romance or I don't know what you're looking for. Everybody's big security, yeah. From the rich to the rubble, yes. Where are these girls? Okay, anyway. So here's actually what I wanted to talk about. Okay? New special interest unlocked! Guys, it's time! It's time! I watched this movie that I can't stop talking about. And I wouldn't say it's particularly critically acclaimed, but somehow it's the most me movie I could have found, because I was doing some research. Just general research, okay? On something we may or may not be working on. I was doing some research on it. And I watched a movie called The Current War, okay? Have you heard of it? No, probably not. This movie came out in, I want to say, 2017? Yep, 2017. Okay, now this movie stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Nicholas Hoult. Who's the guy that plays, Tom Holland's in it. Matthew McFadden is in it. Shout out. And who's the guy who plays Westman? I guess we'll never know. This chronicles the race to power America, meaning in the most physical sense of electricity. It was this sort of copyright/patent war back and forth between Thomas Edison and someone named Westinghouse. George Westinghouse, okay? Let's just read a little trailer, because the summary I'm about to give is probably not correct. The greatest inventors of the industrial age, Thomas Edison and George Westinghouse, engage in a battle of technology and ideas that will determine whose electrical system will power the new century. Backed by J.P. Morgan, okay, Edison dazzles the world by lighting Manhattan. But Westinghouse, aided by Nikola Tesla, sees fatal flaws in Edison's direct current design. Westinghouse and Tesla bet everything on risky and dangerous alternating current. Okay. So here's the thing. I had figured out where AC/DC came from. That actually alternating current, direct current. Okay? The more you know. Am I 27? I figured that out? Yeah. Because did I give a fuck about physics in high school? No. I don't give a fuck. That shit was so confusing to me, actually. I really do. I don't want to ever typecast a brain, but that shit is true. You know what I mean? Like, are you raping? Are you lefting? Are you affecting cars? Are you But it's true. Like, I'm not, this is not my sort of, I don't get it. I was never a math person. I did okay in math just because I wanted good grades and I, like, locked in. But I didn't enjoy it. I didn't particularly, innately understand it. It was just sort of, like, retain enough to be able to do the test and then leave it. Like, if you put a calculus problem in front of me today, I'd be like, this is a different language. I genuinely do not understand it. No, literature and language from yes, I love that shit. I love that shit. I love it. I would much rather annotate and summarize and write an essay on a 5-line poem than have to work through a calculus problem or explain AC/DC to someone, okay? Explain the difference between alternating current and direct current. I can't do it, and I don't particularly care. I'm glad it exists. Don't really give a fuck. But in this sort of more philosophical sense of when red tape becomes a factor in this thing of like powering the United States, like living by candlelight previously, we're seeing a rapid exponential increase in innovation because I think of it also in a sort of like space race thing of you want to beat this other party, and in doing so, you're just improving and improving and improving the technology to get it to a point that is actually safe and consumable for the American people. And a big plot point in this movie is the safety of installing electricity in American houses and in businesses. And there are some deaths that occur because the technology is just, people are so excited about it, they don't really understand it, and there's this push to just get it out there and sell it, and have your name be the one that's like, this building is powered by. It becomes a big plot point that they try to say that each other's technology is fatal, it's dangerous. It's, you know, you touch a doorknob in a house powered by Edison's electricity, and you run the possibility of being electrocuted to death because it's just that unbridled versus, you know, the other one, safer. And then they kept trying to go back and forth. Edison does this demonstration where he electrocutes a horse, and he tries to prove that it's a humane death, you know, that the horse didn't even fucking feel anything. Then, of course, because human invention always has to turn evil, which that's a statement in and of itself, so I could dive into it a different time. Because when a science is discovered, or an invention is, like, ready to be presented, for whatever reason, I don't know why I've talked about this before, but I feel like I have. The science itself is not inherently good or evil. It's just science. It's just nature. When it's placed in the hands of the wrong people, that's when there's this sort of ethical code, right? So you watch in this movie from the discovery of the light bulb and how magnificent it is, from keeping it illuminated for 2 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, 5 hours, 10 hours, how that literally was magic. I mean, it's like you're going from this undiscovered technology to we're lighting a whole room for an extended period of time. Amazing. Oh, the technology depends on who owns it. So you see it go from the light bulb to the electric chair. The electric chair is introduced. This is so interesting to me, but it's like the movie wasn't very well received. I enjoyed it. Benedict Cumberbatch is in it. He played Sherlock in it, which is fine. They're like, we need a quirky, smart white guy. He's like, I know just a guy, his name's Sherlock Holmes, and I'm gonna play him. I enjoyed it, guys. I like Sherlock. It's this sort of ethical dilemma of, I have discovered this technology, and I say that in quotes because Edison probably didn't, right? It's just his name attached to it. And other scientists were working on it at the same time. He was just the first one to kind of be like, and then I introduced the light bulb. The electric chair is this dilemma, ethical dilemma of, is this how I want my technology to be used? And when the government or a private company is offering you millions of dollars to use your technology, have your name on it, or not have your name on it, but you still get paid for their use of the technology, is that worth it? You know, how does that sit with you as someone who's created this beautiful thing to give light, to literally bring light to the darkness? How do you sit with that? And so that's a big plot point that was kind of key, and of course they end up creating the electric chair, and it goes horribly wrong. Like the first ever humane death that they use on a murderer, it was someone who killed his wife, I think, is what the plot line in this movie is. I don't know if that's historically accurate. They go, we're going to privately execute this man, capital punishment, by electric chair, death by electric chair. And they do it, and Edison promises it's going to be humane, it's going to be quick. You know, you put the little probes on the temple, you strap them into the chair. They show the selection process of finding a chair with the right conductive materials and this and that, whatever, they assemble it. They said it was one of the most gruesome deaths imaginable. First it was the smell, burning skin, burning hair. Then it was just screaming because the wattage was not enough to kill him. They were just torturing it. It was a torture chair. And after that, it became this thing that Edison's thing was attached to it. It was kind of cheap. Like, this movie was cheap. All the while, Nikola Tesla is creating the most impressive technology, to be honest. And he's being pushed to the wayside. The story of Tesla is actually very, very sad. He died alone in debt in a hotel room. And he lost the patent war for his own technology, which was an improvement upon both Westinghouse and Edison's technology. It was key. It's crazy, you know, how the true contributors to the collective history of humankind are rarely credited. It's always just the big names who can attach themselves or who have the most money or who, you know what I mean? It's a name game. And it's not really giving credit where credit is due. And the fact that he died, not a penny to his name, in fact, indebted, not even owning a home of his own, as an immigrant into the United States who contributed this thing to American history. It's just really sad. And Nicholas Hoult plays Nikola Tesla. I loved his performance. Okay? I loved it. I love this movie. I don't know why. It was like a hyperfixation movie. And you go and you look on Rotten Tomatoes and people just were not loving it. And that's okay. Hey, that's okay with me. Because I like movies like this. And then I looked up who the director was, and I didn't recognize any of the other movies he had done. Alfonso Gomez Rejon. And he looks just like Javier Bardem. He did Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, which I have not seen. He's from Laredo. He's a Texan. Yes. Anyway, love this movie. Oh my God, y'all. Okay, so that concludes my Nikola Tesla biography part of the podcast. Now we're going to move into Animal Farm. Sorry, not Animal Farm. 1984. Because the last time we checked in about a month ago, sorry, I've been gone for a while, team. The last time we talked, I was about a third of the way through 1984. I finished it. I remembered that I had read it in high school. And, because I thought, I was like, they didn't make us read this in high school. I lied. Yes, they did. Because I was like, oh, yeah, that part. The book, in and of itself, stands the test of time, in my opinion. It was written in the 40s. It was written in, like, 1949. So this is, like, directly after World War II. And he's seeing all these visions of, like, what the world will come to if they continue on in this way. And the whole premise of 1984, if you've never read it, is this idea of an omnipotent, all-powerful government. They live in a society that is referred to as Aesop, which is English socialism. But the term socialism has been so bastardized, so watered down, so mutilated that you wouldn't even recognize it. It is totalitarian, but it's to a figure that doesn't exist, right? So this, like, almost dictator position is Big Brother, but Big Brother's not like a person. It is a construct. And I'm fairly sure that Orwell based it off of Stalin. You know, this big, you have this guy with a mustache. Like, averagely handsome, mustache, strong features, and that he's always watching you, and that you need to behave like you are always being watched. And the extent of the monitoring that happens in this book is just psychotic, and it's very weird to think about how all of us have kind of accepted this idea that our phones listen to us here today. I've been thinking about all this shit. It's been cooking around in my brain. It's been swirling around in my little pot of a brain. We just acknowledge that our phones listen to us, and it's really not, and there is, at least for me, a sense of detachment of, like, I don't really care. I don't really care anymore, because my personal information, personally, has been online since I was 11. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, all my private information, I was giving that shit out for free to webkins.gov. I don't give a fuck. They're going to get it another way or the, like, if you are completely off the grid, never had any social media, that is the only way to avoid this idea of, like, being monitored, being listened to. And it's not necessarily in a, you know, and I say this, I guess, in quotes, it's not in a dangerous way, the fact that my TikTok algorithm listens to me when I talk, it benefits me, I guess, because it is a very highly personalized algorithm. But at the same time, you gotta just know that when you use this technology, when you use the phone, when you use whatever, and you agree to those terms and conditions, it voice monitors, and whatever, the world's on fire, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Just show me edits of Paul Mescal. And that's really all I'm asking. That's all I care about. I want to see AI recreation of Akatar. That's all I really want. And if by me saying that out loud, it's going to give it to me, fuck it. You know what I mean? Dude. Yeah, 1984. I think that, all that to say, I think it stands the test of time. It's an important message, and I don't know, I could literally write an essay on what the message is of letting the government get too powerful, losing a sense of humanity, losing a sense of community, the idea of paddling on each other instead of looking out for each other, the tragedy of the commons. When you exhaust a resource out of your own greediness and selfishness, or for you and a certain group of people, everyone else loses out. And that is very true in this book. In this book, this is fucking crazy. I didn't remember this part. Everyone works, right? You work to create products, to create just consumer goods. But the populace never sees the fruit of that labor. In fact, on the telescreen, which is what they sort of call it's a mandatory screen that's installed in every outer party member's house, that it is always watching you. There's a camera in it, and you can never turn it off. You can turn it a little bit down, but never silent, and you can never completely turn it off. It watches you cook, it watches you read, it watches you sleep, it watches you whatever. It's like this inescapable thing. Big Brother is watching you. That's okay. A lot of the concepts are, I think, in a weird way, prophetic, because he anticipated the technology of the future and its impact, because we're there. And so not much is, it's just a strange, killing thought to think 70 years post-publication, not much has changed. I really enjoyed it. Now, I went on Goodreads, like I do, and I wrote my little review, and I was like, powerful, an evergreen story of ever giving the government too much power over free will and what is best for all of humankind. And in doing that, I left my little review, and I was like, I think the story at times kind of drags. I think there's a part in the middle where he quotes this fake author named Goldstein who's supposed to be this sort of revolutionary figure. The people who want to rebel against Big Brother and the party, as it's called, always reference the book. And it's supposed to be this book that just tells the truth. Like, this is how the world came to be like this. This is what they're keeping from you. You are valid in feeling like this. And it doesn't make you a bad person and all this shit. And it just sort of lays out the doctrine of what a world without the party and without any stock, what that looks like. And it spends a bit too much time, I think, in the middle part of the book, or towards the end. I felt like I was reading a fucking political book, which is fine, because, right, that's the whole, you have to understand that it's a setup for Orwell to tell you his politics. Okay, fine. If that's through the lens of a narrative story with this lead character Winston and his counterpart Julia, and it's fine, but it just went on for too long. It was like 30 pages of just political, not propaganda, but just theory. And then the end of the book, I think, ends too quickly, and I was kind of, the resolution is like, okay. But the book is fine, and it's iconic, and everyone should read it, whatever. I go on Goodreads. I look at the reviews. And apparently, there is and I'm just going to pull up my Goodreads to fact check myself. Okay, here we go. Listen to that. I'm going to read this. I literally screenshotted it. This is a review of 1984 from Goodreads. Do you guys care? This is just some random dude, and he wrote this review, and I was like, no way. There's always tea in the literary community. right? I'm on Goodreads, I'm reading the reviews, and I come across this review that is just destroying Orwell. Because in my review, I was like, I enjoyed this book, I gave it 4 stars, I was like, I think it's important. But really, my favorite part about this book is Orwell's writing. It is so weird to feel seen by someone who's been dead 70 years, or 60 years. It's like some of the things that he would say and how he would phrase them, I was like, and this sounds so pretentious. I fully am self-aware of. Like, I've written a similar sentence, like, in my journal, or in my, just as a thought in my notes app or fucking whatever, like, just a brain dump. It's like I have a thought and I'll just put it out, and the way I word it sometimes feels pretentious, but it's how I feel, and I've never thought, and this is also navel-gazing, I've never thought other people feel that way, too. Reading some of his writing in 1984, this sounds so pretentious, I know! I was like, wow. Orwell's writing is it really struck a chord with me. And while I think he's incredibly intelligent and had a real grasp on the world around him, and the things that he saw early in his life, living under British imperialism, serving in the war, I think he fought in the Spanish Civil War, and he lived in India under British rule as a British citizen, then moved to London, lived in poverty. Like, he has seen the dusty, nasty, dirty corners of the British Empire. And I think that that's such a unique perspective to, without access to like-minded materials, you know what I mean? To be like, other people feel this way too. Early on in his life, he already had that sense of right or wrong, of like, this is fucking wrong. Orwell just had a unique perspective that he wrote from, and that informed all those experiences early on in his life, informed a lot of his writing. And I think that can be true, and at the same time, you can read other writers and be heavily inspired, and in fact, be prone to plagiarizing. Not necessarily plagiarizing word for word, but plagiarizing a concept, plagiarizing a structure, plagiarizing a sort of narrative perspective, and I think that that's a little disappointing. So I'm about to read you this review, and it's for a book called We by a Russian author named Zamyatin. This is the inspiration for 1984, which is what I came to find out, okay? This was originally published in 1924. It's a dystopian novel by the Russian writer Yevgeny Zamyatin that was written in 1920. It was first published as an English translation in 1924. Okay, so this was the original. 1984 apparently is a cheap copy, a cheap British copy of these. So now I'm going to read you a review that some fucking dude left under We, and it blew my mind. And I immediately added We to my wants to read list. I was like, damn. Okay, here we go. George Orwell, you poser, you punk, you thief. I heard that you had read this before writing 1984, but I didn't expect Zamyatin's writing to be so superior to yours. And it is. It is so much more intriguing than your sterile work. D503 is so much the better character than Winston. I'm assuming D503 is the main character in We, and Winston Smith, of course, is the main character in 1984. And you rob I-333 of her power and respect by demoting Julia to the role of a sexual object that stirs Winston to action. Yes, D503 is stirred to action by I-333, but she's the political activist, the intelligent one in this revolution. Besides, Zamyatin had the guts to apply a letter and a name to his characters, while your very English Winston makes your work smack of parochialism, and frankly, condescension. Parochialism. A limited or narrow outlook, especially focused on a local area. Narrow-mindedness. Right? Just keeps gagging him. He says, you narrow-minded little prick. You British fucking dick sucker. D503 is the universal toady, and I-333 the universal revolutionary. Winston? Really? Were you trying to evoke Churchill? Somehow Regardless of this, Zamyatin's prose is far better than yours. It never seems hackneyed, lacking significance through having been overused. Unoriginal and trite. Damn! It never seems hackneyed and rarely pedantic, though I suppose any novel that portrays rebellion against totalitarianism has to be somewhat pedantic. But because Zamyatin actually lived under a totalitarian state, two actually, and you only imagined what the socialists would do in your imaginary world, he avoids much of the rhetoric that you seem to embrace, even while lampooning the imagined society of Big Brother. You see, despite his impersonal name, D503 is so much more human than Winston. Yes, Winston is a revolutionary like D503, but when I read him in comparison with the protagonist of We, Winston comes off as disingenuous. D503 is the real deal, because Zamyatin was the real deal. The man was exiled by both the Tsar and the communists for his free thinking, while you were worried about threats from within your country that never materialized. Maybe that's why 1984 feels so forced. Remember that awful middle section outlining the world's politics? Boring! While We feels so much more natural and easy to read. Wow. Then he goes on, the whole last section is like, furthermore, Zamyatin's prose is beautiful. Yes, you have a grasp of the English language, but Zamyatin, there is something about it being originally written in Russian and then translated. The fact that the beauty still stuck through the translation, amazing. Anyway, I read that and I was like, damn! I've never read a book and been like, I have to write the scathing review. Actually, I'm lying. I'm completely lying. After I read Iron Flame, I was like, so fucking mad! Iron Flame is the sequel to Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing was so good, but then again, a lot of those authors, I've heard, okay, and I do fact check me on this, but don't quote me on this, stole a lot of ideas from Lord of the Rings, from Lord of the Flies, from a lot of, like, classics. Fourth Wing stole some stuff from popular fantasy books, yeah. Ideas from other novels like Harry Potter, Avatar. But then again, I think even Survey Mass copied someone. I think that it's something I never really thought about of authors. When you're in an intense writer's block after you've created this IP of like these concrete characters, concrete magic, and I say that in quotes because that was one of my qualms with Rebecca Yarros' books, is like, it feels like she doesn't even understand the magic that she's created. And I don't mean that in like, the magic she created. I mean the magic system. I'm about to nerd out for a second. At the end of Iron Flame, I was like, what the fuck is going on? In terms of the magic system and the limits of that magic, and I guess some of the rules just changed if she changed her mind. I was like, this is hard to follow because there's no rigid structure to this magical world that I'm supposed to be in. You know, like, I'm down with the dragons, I'm down with the fucking this and the that and the strength and the telepathy and they're fucking and then he's fucking the dragon and whatever. Okay, I'm there. But you lost me, dude. You freaking lost me with the, what are they called? They're trying to create these, like, stone pillars of magical, protective something against the rotted zombies who fly on the eagles or something. I don't know. Dude, they lost me. And also, half of Iron Flame, Xaden and Violet are separated and they don't even have sex. They don't even have sex. They're not even fucking, and I don't even, or they have sex with them, she leaves in the morning, I'm pissed off. Or they don't talk to each other because they're mad at each other and then he almost dies. I was mad. Like, Fourth Wing, the original concept, Dragon Rider Academy, oh yeah, I'm down for that. No, it's just disappointing. The second book is disappointing. Am I going to read the third one? Yeah. Because I have to know. Does Xaden die? I don't give a fuck about Violet. I only care about Xaden. And that's saying something because Violet had pissed me off. But Xaden also had pissed me off in the second book because, oh dude, there's this whole, a major plot point of the book is them just not being truthful to each other, which is one of my least favorite tropes in all of these romance books, okay, is miscommunication. Don't piss me off. And I had my nails done recently, okay? And I was talking to my nail lady about this because she is an astrology woman. She is an astrology hooker. She loves that shit. She read my chart and I was like, that makes total sense. Apparently my Venus is in Gemini. My Venus is in Gemini? No, and my Mars is in Aries. And that is my problem solving. Okay, yes, my Mars is in Aries. I'm very direct. If we have a problem, come over here and talk to me, okay? We're going to sort this out right fucking now because I cannot sit here another second with this on my spirit. It will drive me nuts. I don't know how some people can do that. Some people can, like, if they have an issue, they'll hold it. They'll hold it in, and they'll ruminate on it. And they'll hold it until the pressure boils over and they fucking explode. I don't know how they do that. And then it's also, that's unfair because if you hold that anger inside and you blow up at the person that was the subject of it, and this person had no prior warning to the fact that they'd even done anything wrong, that's just so unfair to me. And I've had people do that to me, and I'm like, what? I never even knew that I did something wrong. And you're yelling at me about how I did this, how that's fucking crazy and whatever, and you always do this, and whoa. I just don't appreciate it indirect communication. If we have a problem, let's work it out. Because it doesn't behoove either of us. Anyway, as a person with their Mars and Aries, reading a book like Iron Flame was infuriating. Because fuck you. It's also why I couldn't ever, the later seasons of Drake and Josh, couldn't watch it. A lot of it was a miscommunication trope of like, someone misheard something, or this wasn't communicated to so-and-so, and then the whole episode spirals out of control because of that, and it was a simple thing that they could have fucking fixed. I'm pissed off. I could not do it because it infuriates me to the point of DNF. Do not finish that episode of Drake and Josh. You pissed me off. Or having a little fucking instigator like Megan. Don't piss me off. Okay, anyway. And apparently, yeah, my Gemini is, or my Venus is in Gemini? Whoa. Let's read that. Venus in Gemini meaning. This signifies communication, curiosity, and a playful intellectual nature. This generally translates to a person who enjoys flirting, mental stimulation in relationships, and thrives on open, varied communication in love life. Listen to that. Do the stars lie? No. And the older I get, the more I'm like, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on because this shit is real. My chart is so real, it makes me really, really nervous. Because how the fuck do you know that? Because what do you mean Mars and Venus are right there when I was born, and that's why I can't deal with Iron Flame? And that's why when the dragons are touching each other and then Jade and the Violet are talking, I'm mad. Because Venus was right there when I was born. What do you mean? And what do you mean when they made Pluto not a planet? That means that I started to get PCOS and my hair fell out. It's science. It's science, I can't explain it, bro. Yeah, that's nuts to me. She read my chart and she was like, this means this means this. Are you like this? And I was like, yes? What the hell? Anyway. Yeah, so get into We by You Get Me Some Yuppie. Broski Report. You Get Me Some Yuppie. We. And there's a third one as well. Looking Backwards by Edward Bellamy. This doesn't have the best reviews on Goodreads, but here's the summary. Because these are the three, I read the intro, the foreword, and the, what the fuck is that called? It's like an afterword, right? Afterward. W-O-R-D. After 1984, someone wrote a little like post thing of the impact of 1984 and the cultural relevancy and all that. And it referenced these other two books where it kind of refers to, in a loose sense, the big three dystopian novels that are of note of this time period. And then the earliest being, actually, I just don't have my copy in my freaking room. There's an earlier book from like as early as the 1600s, 1700s, that's a dystopian novel that's actually kind of modern and really good. And I wish I remember the name of it. Anyway, this is one. This was written in oh, just kidding. It was published in 2000. Am I stupid? Edward Bellamy's classic look at the future has been translated into over 20 languages and is the most widely read novel of its kind. A young Boston gentleman is mysteriously transported from the 19th to the 21st century, from a world of war and want to one of peace and plenty. This brilliant vision became the blueprint of Utopia that stimulated some of the greatest thinkers of our age. Someone rated it 5 stars, and they're saying that it turned him into a socialist. Okay, Queen. As a novel, this book isn't much. That isn't a mark against it, though. The story serves as a light frame to build an explanation of socialism around, and it does that very well. Looking backward is the best and clearest way I have ever seen socialism presented, although that is not hard, since I've never seen socialism presented in any light other than a negative one. And in almost every way, it seems better than capitalism. It raises questions in me that I have never had occasion to consider. Why, indeed, do we not all work together? Why should one have so much more than another? Well, all people are created equal. Why waste so much manpower and economic power in endless duplication of enterprise? Why should many of us live under constant threat of poverty and hunger when the good earth is rich and can support us all equally? Yeah, bro, we know all this, but this might be a pessimistic worldview, but we'll never get there. Humans are too selfish. It'd be nice, it'd be ideal, right? But that's why it's called a utopia. And not reality. Utopia definition. The breakdown of the word utopia means not place. It doesn't exist, okay? If you want to get into the etymology of the word, the Latin root, it's Greek. And it came about in the mid-16th century. The word was first used in the book Utopia, 1516, by Sir Thomas More. That's the book I was talking about. Thank you, Google, for listening to me. Thank you, Google, for always being on my side. Thank you, Google, for giving me cognitive bias. Or what's that called? The confirmation bias. That's it. Yeah, confirmation bias, yeah! An imagined place or state of things in which everything is perfect.